Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this special presentation of Logic Pro Live. Logic Pro for iPad has just hit the stores. It is here, it is real, it is in the flesh, or in the ones and zeros, I guess, would be more accurate. In this video, in this show, I'm going to take you through Logic Pro. I'm going to answer any questions that you have. This is your time to ask me about it, and let me be your guinea pig. If you would like to check out all the information we have so far, there's only one place to go. It's logicipad.com. Here you'll find links to everything we're going to talk about here. We've got my complete beginner's guide video there. We've got a live Logic Pro demo, which is this one you're watching right now. We've got all my Logic Pro videos, the complete playlist of videos there. You can download it. So a lot of folks have been asking, hey, where's the link? How do I download this thing? Well, there it is. That's the place where you go if you want to download it. The Apple webpage, the Apple announcement, and all the information, which iPads you need, everything you need is over at logicipad.com. We will dive into this wonderful new app in just a jiffy. Let's say g'day to the folks who we have here live in the chat. Hello to Bobby Boy Drums. G'day Mark Bro, Jade Star, Thomas Christ. Hello to you. Tremor Bear, Gary Knight, Black Diamond. Hello to you. Leslie Ann M. Justice. G'day. Beelzebub, Princess LDG. If you're just joining us, say g'day. The chat's here. The folks here in the chat are all very friendly. Hello Smokey 1437. G'day Coldacre. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah, so this is Logic Pro, and we're going to be spending a little bit of time this morning, this afternoon, the evening, wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is for you, we'll be having a little squiz and getting accustomed to what's going on here. If you want to just skip all of the hyperbole, again, jump over to the web page there. If you hit this button here, it's going to take you to my list of videos. So there's my beginner's guide. It's about 30 minutes, and that takes you through everything, like step by step of, starting your first track and setting up your project using the drummer, using the MIDI, using the browser, everything that we're going to go through here today. So if you don't want the more sort of quiet, relaxed version, you just want just the facts, ma'am, jump on over to that playlist again. It's all listed at logicipad.com. Hello, Satish Robertson. Hope you are doing well, my friend. Hello to Mr. Dan Ekberg as well. Everyone is in the house and ready to rock and roll. So, yes, it is available to download right now if you go to the App Store. Now, if you can't find it in the App Store, use the link. There's a link right in the description of this very video. So if you can't find it, because I couldn't, I went searching in the App Store. Let's see if it's there now, in fact. Let's go for a little dig around the App Store. I'll bring up my iPad here so you can take a little look-see as well. There it is. And in the App Store here. And, right, so if we search, because this is what I did at 2 o'clock this morning, because, yes, I've been up for a while because it actually came out. So if you go Logic Pro for iPad, which is the full name of the app, let's see if it's there now. There it is. Okay, it's there in all its glory now. Before, what we had to do to get to it, so now there it's now fine and dandy. What folks were having to do this morning was actually, if search for Logic Pro, you'd go in and you'd find Logic Remote, and then this is a good tip for the future. And you go into Logic Remote, you'd scroll down to the bottom here, and you'd go to More by Apple, and click the See All button, and it will be there. So that's where folks were having to go to find it. And yeah, it'll be for different people. As Robert's saying here, for different folks, it's showing or not showing for some different people, depending where you are in the world. And depending on your iPad. Sometimes if you turn it off and on, then it'll be working. And yeah, a few of us have been having difficulty. Let me know in the chat if you've tried Final Cut Pro for iPad, because myself, Jay Star, Thomas Christ, folks that I know tried it, and we're getting stuck in a loop. We're getting stuck in a live, in a download loop where it's not actually working. It's saying it's viewing. Viewing, what is it called? Loading, and it's just stuck in a loading loop. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Hopefully there's a fix that they can push through pretty quickly. All right, let's dive in. let's go in head first. And the first thing that I've done here that you heard in the intro, you heard in the opening there, is I've brought a GarageBand project here into Logic Pro to start playing around and start showing you some of the differences. Because I thought one of the first things that folks might want to know is, hey, I'm a GarageBand user, or I'm a Logic Mac, or I'm a GarageBand Mac user, or I'm an Audio Pro or a Cubase 3. What's in Logic Pro? What's under the hood? What can I do with my projects that I couldn't do in my other platform? So that's what we're going to start with, and we'll actually go all the way out of here because yes, I have had the app for a while. I guess the cat's out of the bag, the rabbit's out of the hat, all those other expressions. Neither of those made sense, but yes, I did get early access to this about just under 2 weeks. I've been able to use the version 1.0. I've had a test version of the app, and I've been playing around with it and learning as much as I can. I still probably know about 10%. So there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to unpack in this app. It's very, very deep. So what I did though is I set up here in my GarageBand folder, which you may have seen if you were in yesterday's show. I set up a For Logic folder. And in the For Logic folder, I've got a couple of tracks here. So you can see here, this one was yesterday's track. So this is the GarageBand track, and this is the version that I actually brought across into Logic. I'm actually going to delete that because I'm going to show you how we bring it in. So opening a GarageBand project in Logic is as simple as navigating to the project and tapping on it. You're going to get this little window that says, would you like to open this with Logic Pro? You're going to say continue, and it's going to... My mouse, I'm having to tap things a lot. The mouse control here in iPad OS 16 hasn't quite been perfected yet. So it's going to go ahead and open. Now, I got this one last time I did it, and there's a couple of weird things here, and we're going to find this. Like, this is version 1.0 of brand new software, and as much as Apple have tested it, and as much as people like me have been using the app for a couple of weeks, we're going to find more things that they are going to have to correct in future versions. So this says this Logic Pro for Mac project is missing audio files. Well, it's a GarageBand project, but it's obviously just a misnomer there. Consolidate this project and Logic Pro for Mac by choosing File, Project Manage Consolidation, and then try again. Well, that's not actually correct, but we're just going to go OK. Tap on OK, and it's opened it up here in our project. Now, last time I opened it, it said there was audio files missing as well, but it hasn't done that this time, so hopefully everything is there and intact. And it really is as simple as that. Everything kind of follows across, and when we hit play, hang on, we'll turn the volume up. Then everything plays just as you would imagine. And we'll talk you around. I'll walk you through the interface here when we move into this. I did just want to let you know that if you would like to ask a question, we are here live. So if you're watching live, please just put a big chunky Q in front of your comment, and that will tell me that you have a question, and I'll keep an eye on the chat as we go on through here. So please just go put a Q in front, because if you're just having chats and saying hello to folks, that's absolutely great, and I encourage it and I love it. But if you've got questions, we've got answers. Good question here from Thomas. Did I download and install the GarageBand pack? It doesn't install when you hit install all, I've discovered. Well, let's check that, because you may be thinking, how do I once I've downloaded it, what is the first thing I do? Well, the first thing you should probably do, actually we'll go back into the project. First thing you should probably do is actually go to your sound library and download all the sound. Yeah, there it goes, missing audio files. But it's that again, it's giving me that weird Logic Pro error there. So how do we get to our sound library? Well, how do we get to everything? I'm just going to put that away. How do we get to everything in Logic Pro? Well, it's the browser. The browser is your everything. It's your be-all and your end-all, and it's in the bottom left corner. So if we tap on that one, we're going to get this lineup of plugins, patches, loops, samples. Everything you bring into your project here is here. And this is probably the biggest difference. For a GarageBand user, this is the biggest thing you're going to get used to, is that you don't go out to that browser window and go through and swipe through and find your instrument there. Everything is here, whether you're bringing in a loop, whether you're creating a new Alchemy patch, whether you're recording a guitar or a microphone, which we'll do a little bit later as well. Whatever you're doing, it's all going to be in here, including the sound library. So let's hit the sound library to get more sounds, and let's come down here and we'll make sure that we have actually downloaded. So yes, we have. We've downloaded everything. So we've downloaded all of these. We've got our essential and compatibility packs. You got your drummers and kits. You got your instrument packs. You got your producer packs there. Everything is there and good to go. So we've got all those packs, and you can manage your packs up here in the top left. You can sort them, you can search for them, you can look at all of them and make sure that we've got everything there. No, we don't want to continue. So you can see there that all available packs. Somehow I've got more installed packs than are available. Go figure. But I have everything installed there. There are a couple of new packs in here. You've got the 8-bit Legends, with the chiptune pack, which is pretty darn cool. You've got some more step sequencer loops because you've got the step sequencer available here in Logic Pro, which we'll have a look at a bit later. We've got the vintage breaks there as well, a breakbeat pack, and there is also, it's not showing up there because it's not a sound pack as such, but you've got things like your brass and your wind and your strings, which have some good stuff there. So we'll dive in there and show you how that's all done in a jiffy. I've grabbed some questions here. We've got Bobby Boyd, we've got Princess LDG, and we've got JD, and I am Stephen Tucker. I've tagged all of your questions. Oh, I've got Chris Lapuna there and Black Diamond as well. So I've tagged all of those questions. We'll jump in and grab those questions from you in just a jiffy. Rock packs, yeah. I was waiting for the metal pack or the banjo, like the country pack or something. Folk music pack. Any folk music packs for us? Folk music, acoustic folks? Not quite. Not quite. It is probably more designed for your electronic music creators, but that doesn't mean we can't use it as well. As you'll see, I'm going to bring in one of my punk rock tracks afterwards and have a play around with that. Hello, Clayton Von Kluge. I hope you're doing well as well. So that's the basics of bringing things in there and playing. Your transport controls at the top. And we're away. Let's have a quick tour of the interface, shall we? And then we will answer your questions, I promise you. So just to give you a bit of a crash course in where everything is. Up the top here, you can go back. That's just going to save you out of your project and come back in, just like in GarageBand if you've used that before. So because this is a bigger project, it's going to take a while, and it's going to give me that error every time, is it? Joy. Transport controls up the top here. You've got your visibility of where you're located in here. You've got the ability to change tempo, which can be done to any increment, including decimals. Hooray! You've got your time signature and key signature, which can be done to any time signature, including all the wacky ones. Hooray! You've got your lead in, your count in there. You've got your metronome there. You've got your undo. You've got your help file. Now, this is really handy because you've got these lessons here. And if you're starting out, one of the things you'll probably want to do is check out the lessons, and the Logic Pro help is here as well. The Logic Pro help kind of blew me away because normally, like if you've seen the GarageBand user guide, it's a little bit, it's a bit Mickey Mouse. It's only like a online version. Whereas this is like, yeah, no. This is a manual. This is a guide. This is for your old school folks that want a proper guide, and the old school folks that want a 960-page guide. Yeah, you heard me. I will be going through this. I would love to do a video. I'm considering / threatening to do a video, do an RTFM series where I read the full manual. That's what that means, wasn't it? Yeah. So I read the full manual and go through each and every section. Might have to do it in chunks. I don't think I could do all of them, but that's all there as well. The lessons that I showed you there, we'll return to those in a minute. You've got across the top here, you've got your ability to go to live loops mode or tracks mode. You've got your main view and your automation view, because yes, you can automate things that aren't just volume. Look at this. We can automate our panning. We can automate our solos and mutes. We can automate our effects. We can automate individual channels. I haven't even scratched the surface with automation yet, to be very honest, but it's all there. You've got your editing controls. So you can not only trim, but you can loop, you can split, and you can stretch. Yes, people are going to be happy with this one because audio tracks as well as MIDI tracks, you can stretch them out. So we don't really have the full flexibility of flex time like you do in Logic Mac, but we do have the ability to actually stretch out samples, which is pretty darn cool. These ones here are a multi-select, so you can select multiple items like that with multi-select, and the copy mode allows you to grab a track and quickly copy a region like that, which is super handy. Undo button at the top there, and like most Apple products, redo is a tap and hold, and then you've got your redo there as well as your undo. I'm not sure how many levels you have yet. I haven't been to that level of detail to find out how many levels that we go down there. Welcome to Mark. Welcome to Crosby. Thanks to SG. Thanks for everyone for being here. If you do have questions, once again, just put a Q in front of them. I'm tagging them, and we'll come back and answer questions as we go through the live stream today. It's good to have you all on board. If you are having fun, hit the like button. That tells the YouTube robots to go and tell other people to come watch the show. Down the side here, you've got your mute, solo, record, and your gain controls. You've got your icons there so you can see what's going on there. And you can swipe this panel out. So if we go to the left, you can swipe it in and you can swipe it out to give you more access and more control there. This is your regions and this is your main workspace where you'll do all of your stuff. And then down the bottom here, this is what I think separates Logic Pro from every other mobile digital audio workstation I've used. It makes really good use of the screen real estate that you have. So you've got your browser. When you open your browser, it brings it up the side here. You can bring in your patches, bring in your loops, bring in your presets, and then you can put it away. And the same with your inspector. Your inspector will change based on what you're tapping here. So your different regions that you've got here, and you can make changes based on region and also based at the track level, which is pretty cool. Someone was asking about your color coding. That's here in your inspector. So if we wanted to say, mate, what should we make? Let's make these bass tracks. Let's make these bass tracks a different color. So we can tap on that, go to the inspector, tap on this one, and then go to the track color. And let's make all of our basses this red color, like a really red, because red goes faster. We know that. Why did that not work? Why didn't that work? All right, let's go back here. Stereo movement, color, red, brightness, icon. Can change the icon. Let's change the icon and see if that part works. Okay, the icon changes. All right, okay, so that might be the actual track header. Did I tell you that I'm pretty new to this? Okay. Is it in the region here? Okay, maybe it's in the general. Maybe it is for the regions. Do we have to color each region maybe? Ah, there you go. There it is. It's within your region. See, I thought it was in the track view, but no. I don't know what I did with that track because that didn't change the color at all. There you go. So we can do that. We'll do that. We'll make these bases red because that'll make them go extra fast. All right, so that's your inspector. Down the bottom here, you've got we'll get rid of the inspector. We've got a fader view. So this is cool because if you're just doing a basic rough mix here and you want to say adjust one of your sounds here. You can actually have a more accurate view. And look at that. See how it turned orange? Yeah, that's clip. It means you can actually see if you have a clip. So you can tap it off there, but it means that if you're doing something, and obviously when we get to the mixer, you have clip metering in the mixer as well. Unlike GarageBand and other DAWs where you just have to wing it and guess, which is not the best idea. We'll turn that one off. Then you've got your editors window here. So this brings in your edit mode where you can go into regions and your MIDI editor or your drummer editor, depending which type of track you've got, it's going to be a different view there. And you can see here you've also got trim, loop, split, and stretch controls within the region editor. So the same controls you have here for your overall regions, you can come into each individual region and do that within the actual region editor, which is cool. Turn off editors and go to plugins. Plugins are designed really well, in my humble opinion, because you've got your plugin tiles, very similar to GarageBand Mac or Logic Mac. You've got your plugin tiles here where you can make small changes to things. You can come in here and adjust the different things, or you can double tap on them and it's going to open up your full control. And you've got the ability, you can resize things to your heart's content here. So you can resize things all the way up so that you've got a nice big view of everything that you're doing there, or just tap over here on the right. And that's going to full screen it, tap again, and it's going to bring it down. So that makes things really easy and efficient when you're starting to adjust your plugins. You've also got, sends, and you've got your output control here as well. So yeah, you've got everything. You can control your stereo out right from this plugin. So if you want to add a limiter, well, there's a limiter on there by default that's on your master bus. And yes, we do have the ability to turn off auto normalization in Logic Pro for iPad, unlike GarageBand, which is cool. I know it sounds like I'm dumping on GarageBand. I promise I'm not. I still love GarageBand. GarageBand still has its place. But Logic Pro just has some cool features, and that's why I'm talking about it, because some of you may want to consider upgrading. Some of you may not. That's the whole idea. That's the whole point of doing this and being here today. Your mixer. This is what a lot of people are super duper excited about, and it is as good as you had hoped. You've got the ability to access all of your channels here in the mixer and see exactly what's going on. Again, you can bring that one up so that you've got a visibility of all your plugins up the top there as well, which makes life even easier because you can quickly see what plugins you've got on which tracks. You can quickly solo and mute different tracks out here. And yeah, it's an amazing space to be able to do things. Again, see, you've got your clip control there that we talked about before, so that when you play and you turn your volume up, and so I can quickly identify, I'm like, oh, why are my vocals not coming in? Oh, that's why, because they're muted down here. So we can unmute my vocals there. And sometimes I sit around and wonder how it is I got here and if I'm going under. All the complications of my life, all the times when I couldn't reach a knife in my back. And yes, your stereo out. This is the thing that everyone's going to be very happy about, I'm sure. You've got EQ and limiting on your stereo out. You've even got a multiprocessor there so that you can play around with your compression on your master fader, your master bus. Yes, it is finally here. So there's a lot that's in the mixer there. We've only just scratched the surface, obviously. We're not going to go into a lot of detail here. The other thing I'll tell you about the mixer is that you've got the setup mode here. So if you're wondering how do I add or change plugins or change the order, you go into your setup mode and then you can actually change things around. So you want to change the order, you just drag your plugins around. You want to add a new plugin, you just tap there and you've got access to your recent plugins that you've used, all of the stock default Logic Pro plugins, of which there are a heap. And we can go through any of those in detail that you want me to look at later. And then we've got all of the audio unit plugins that I've downloaded as well. So all of your AUV3s. At this stage, it looks like audio, Interapp Audio is officially as dead as the dodo. I don't think we're going to see Interapp Audio support here in Logic Pro at all. So I don't think so. Anyway, I would not be relying upon it. A little bit of rap and Pete. Yes, Logic Pro. All right, let's answer some of your questions. If you've got questions, please just put a big Q in front again. So just do this, put a big Q in front of your comment, and I'll answer the questions that we've already tagged here. If you've got more questions, just put a Q in front of them as we go through these ones, and I'll make sure that they get tagged and we answer them. How do you color code stuff? So we discovered that together before. So that's in the inspector here. So we'll tap there, tap the inspector, and say we wanted this 909 to be a different color. We go to, in the region here, we tap on that one. Let's make this a nice purple color. And there you go. You've got different brightnesses that you can use as well based on your preferences there. So that's where you change your colors for things. Would someone lose their current project if they forgot to pay the subscription? No. So you don't have to worry about losing data, but you just won't be able to access your data, if that makes sense. So if you've got your Logic Pro projects, and it's probably a good point to pause and mention that by default, Logic Pro stores your projects in iCloud Drive, which is a good thing in my opinion. It creates this Logic Pro for iPad, which I've been desperately trying to make sure I hide for the last 2 weeks while I've had the earlier version of this. And you can see there's my pre-release folder with all the projects that I've created and experimented with during the last 2 weeks. So you can save them to on my iPad. I highly recommend you don't. But for your question, as far as your question goes, Princess LDG, yeah, if you save them, if they're in your iCloud Drive, or even if they're in your on my iPad location, you're going to be absolutely fine. It's going to keep those files, but it just means that you won't be able to access them if you don't have an active subscription at the time. Yes, okay. I'll have to open a new project that doesn't have that. Bobby Boyd says, I tried sharing some live drum stems and it didn't have the choices GarageBand has. It went as a zip file and no one could open. Any alternatives? I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how you're exporting and then importing the files. If you've got them in a GarageBand project or a Logic Mac project, then you should just be able to open them straight in here. If you're stemming them out or exporting them as WAV files, then you should be able to import them as WAV files. I will show you just quickly because it's related to this, and I was going to show you this anyway. Even though before I said everything you do in Logic Pro is in the browser, there's one thing that you can't do, and that's bring in your own audio from the browser. So there's no way to have a folder here of your audio loops and samples and use them from there. You need to actually import them individually or separately at least. And the way to do that is actually to go to your Files app. So tap on your Files app here and find the file that you want to bring in. So say I want to bring in this one here. I'll just download. I don't even know what this is. Some sort of random loop, I think. Yep, okay. So say I wanted to bring this one in. Just hit done on that. What we can do is, now you can't see, oh yes you can. You can see these three dots. The three dots at the top there, tap on those and we'll go to slide over. And then when we go back to Logic Pro, we've got the ability to move these over into our project. And this is actually be a cool little demo to do here. So what we want to do is, say we grab this one, we'll tap and drag it, and we can plonk it in a couple of ways. We can either just put the loop directly here into our region area, or we can pop it here and put it on the track header. And that, if we release there, means we can create using the Quick Sampler, Sample Alchemy Drum Machine Designer. So let's just do a quick one. We'll do Quick Sampler here for this demo. And what that does is it creates a sampler track where, when we tap it, and in fact, it's actually already taken this loop. I've not actually done this before. Let's just tap this one away and send it. I've not done this before with the Quick Sampler, but it looks like if we dive in to here, it looks like it's actually created. It's created its own set of samples. If we double tap on this one, yeah, look at this. It's grabbed this loop and it's actually split it up for us. I didn't mean to show quite that level of detail, but that's what you can do. You can bring in a loop and it'll actually split it out. And if you bring in a melodic loop, it'll split it out into actual notes. Can you see how it's got the notes there? That's pretty next level. Now, we haven't got to play surfaces yet, but that was one of the next things we were going to do. Down here in the bottom right, this is your play surfaces. So that's where you tap that one up. I'm just going to get rid of your comment for a sec there, Bobby, so I can get to this. So your play surfaces is down the bottom there, and you can bring that one up, and then you can actually adjust the play surface here. So if we wanted to make these drum pads instead, check this out. And we can go through it. So that's kind of cool, right? So you don't just have the ability to bring it in as a standard stock loop. You can actually bring it in and then you can create another instrument with it. I'll jump out of there. Let's just close everything down. It's a good habit to get into, to just close everything off to get back to your main screen there. So did I answer your question there? Probably not, but maybe if you've got those drum stems as WAV files, that's how you'll bring them in to a project. And I'm not sure, if you select two files, does it create it onto two different tracks? We'll explore that a bit later, because I've got other questions coming in that we need to continue on with. Let me just check the live chat here and see if I'm up to date. I'll grab your question there, Crosby Man. I'm just looking for the letter Q. Yeah, no inter-app audio like Bias FX guitar. Sorry, Bobby. No, not at this stage. You'll need an AUV3. Mars Capone is having issues. Yeah, Mars reached out this morning. He's got issues, probably iOS 16.5 related, to do with his Logitech keyboard case. So if you're using non-Apple gear, I would avoid 16.5 for now. Any non-Apple gear. Your Apple gear seems to be working fine. There seems to be issues with third-party gear. I've grabbed your question, Black Diamond, and that's all the questions I've seen there for now. So we'll go back to answering these questions in order. Jays D. King says, is it possible to create A, B, and C sections? So no. This is a great question, and the answer is unfortunately not. So we don't have sections or the song sections that we have in GarageBand. So to let you know what that's all about, if we open GarageBand, where are you, little fella? It's okay, you can come out. Come out from hiding. So you'll notice here that in this project, I've got these sections set up for this track. So you've got all your different sections and you can actually jump between these. And I personally found this a pretty convenient way, especially with a track like this, to arrange it, because you could easily, say, grab a section, go to your edit mode here, and move it between the two and actually swap sections around and add sections in. It did make for an easy workflow. For me, anyway. It worked for me. Others, your mileage may vary, and in fact, I think about 98% of GarageBand users didn't use sections. In Logic Pro, we don't have any sections at all, but we do have cycle mode. So it's kind of the same. So what you do here, like say you wanted to record in a part in this first verse, what you do is you turn cycle on, which is this one here, and then you drag your cycle to the front, and then go to the very end of the project and drag your cycle, tap on that one, drag your cycle to the end of the section that you want to do, and then when you're playing back or recording, sometimes I sit around and wonder how it'll only play back that section. Oops, we turned it off. So I'll just put my playhead to the end. Once you get to the section, sometimes I sit around and wonder, it drops back to the start. So whether you're playing back or recording or whatever you're doing, it'll just cycle through that again and again. And you can use the multi-take mode in Logic to do multiple takes over and over. So no, we don't have the sections, but we have cycle. So I think it's going to be a bit of a positive trade-off. I hope so. Multi-out multi-out and MIDI learn. I haven't actually played with that yet. In the mixer here, you do have the ability to set up different sends and different outputs. So down the end here, you can see we've got stereo output there, and you can choose where that goes to. So that I've only got my Steinberg UR22C plugged in at the moment, and I haven't tried it with multiple devices, but I'm assuming that if I had multiple devices, I'll have to try this when I do some more advanced stuff. I'm assuming that you can actually change that. We have output assignment here. So as well as your inputs, you have outputs on everything. So that's going to make your routing a lot better than what you have in GarageBand, because you got none. You got one output and that's it in GarageBand. I don't know how that's going to go with iOS and their lack of ability to generally have more than one output working at once, but we will see. But yeah, there's definitely sends and there's definitely multiple outs, and you can add, as far as I know, you can add in additional ones as well in the setup here. We are in the setup. Haven't worked out how to yet. I haven't read the 960-page manual, but I will. I'll do it. I'll be the guinea pig. So we'll dive into that in more detail as we continue on. Is there a forced legato feature in the piano mode? Wow, we're getting into the weeds already. Is there a forced legato mode? I haven't played much with these, but let's jump into a track. We'll go to this one. Those play surfaces, by the way, I didn't quite get to that, but play surfaces are there. So we have the sustain that we can turn on, but it's not really forced legato. I think it would probably be similar to what we have, so pitch and scroll. So I think it's going to be similar to what GarageBand has, where it has your play mode, your pitch mode, and your scroll mode. I don't think that's going to the. Whoa, there you go. Oh yeah, you can you can move your play surface up, so you can get more. You can get more keyboards that way as well. And you can adjust that by just dragging it down to whatever level you want. I was trying to tap on this one and go configuration, mod wheel, gain range, slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, not sure. Can't answer that one right now. If someone else can answer in the chat, feel free to answer that one for Princess LDG, because other folks are already trying that. How full featured is Alchemy Synth? A lot more full featured than the GarageBand version. Pretty much close to what the Logic Mac version is, I believe. Let's have a really quick look at it. So if we jump in here, we'll go to our. Oopsie, I've got to remember how to do things. We've got to go to our browser. Remember, Johns, you go to your browser first. And if we go to instrument patches, and we'll go. By the way, when you're searching in patches, you can actually tap up here, and you can go to all of these. So you can actually go to different sound packs and you can actually find your patches that way. Or you can search here. I wonder if we just search Alchemy. And then you can create a custom field there. So we can find these. So if we go like, by the way, if you've got sounds, we didn't really cover this. To preview them here in the browser, tap over there and tap again to turn off. Let's use this bell string pad, shall we? So we'll tap and we'll drag that onto our track here and bring this up by going to our play surface, then jumping into the plugin here, and here's your Alchemy. So you've got your basic view here like you do in GarageBand for iOS. We need a bit more volume, a little bit more volume. So you can adjust your sound there, but if you double tap on this one, you've got a heap more control over it here. So you've got your pad to move things up there, which adjust all of your controls down here. Yeah, maybe it's not actually that much more advanced than what is on the iPad. There's definitely some more options down here which I've not actually played with at all. You've got different. So yeah, I would say it's probably somewhere between would be the simple answer. It's probably not as full featured as Logic Mac, but it's more featured than than GarageBand on iOS. And the cool thing is, as well as Alchemy here, you've got Sample Alchemy too, which if we bring in just any old patch, like you don't have to use an Alchemy patch in particular. You can use anything you like here. So if we just grab whatever this is, we can actually grab this, drag it in, release it here, and turn it into a sample Alchemy track. So you can basically create an Alchemy style instrument from anything you like, from any sample you like. So this one here. And then if you go into your plugins, like so, you can actually determine where it actually puts it. And again, double tap, and you get your ability to add in. You can have multiple as well. So you can actually play two sounds at once. And it's really cool, because if you bring in like a loop, you can actually create some really funky stuff. And you've got all the same controls that you have there with your Alchemy, with a sample Alchemy, which is pretty cool. There's so much under the hood here. Do the lesson. If you want to learn more about that one, highly recommend doing the lesson. And just a reminder, if you want to go to the lessons up the top right hand here, if you tap that one and you go to lessons, it's going to drop you out here. And you can see I've done them all, but you can do all the different lessons from the tour, from everything there. And if you go, where's Logic? Alchemy. Can't see it now. It's one of them. There it is. Intro to Sample Alchemy down the bottom there. So have a play with that one, and that should get you up and running. I've got some more questions coming in now. I've grabbed yours, JSD. I'm just going to check. Black Diamond, I've grabbed your question. I'm going to tag that one. Are there any others that are coming in? Seems like the sounds area has an Ableton feel for stacking effects. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's similar to Ableton and other DAWs. It's a more standard kind of way of doing things. Hello to Phil Gone. Hello everyone else who's here. Phil, I've grabbed your question. G'day John Swanson. Hello everything and nothing. Force legato in piano rolls. Select MIDI and tap it. Ah, okay. There you go. So you can actually do that. So if we go into the piano roll, boop, 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 boop. Hang on, close these down. Got to get to the habit of closing things down, otherwise you run out of space. Because it's still working on an iPad screen here. So we'll tap that one. We'll go to the edit mode. We'll go to the piano roll. So there's force legato is in here. There you go. Golden. And I'm assuming that you can multi-select and select all and make them all force legato. So if you just tap, drag them all across, and then tap one, force legato. Some overlap notes appear like chords. Okay. So yeah, I won't do that now. I'll oh, can I? All right. Apparently I'm doing it. That's all right. We can undo. Keep. Oh no. Oh no, is it asking me this? Okay. No, that's all right. So yeah, so it's changed that now because it was chords. But again, don't forget, undo is your friend. Right up in the top corner there. Undo it. It never happened. So thank you, everything and nothing. There you go. Force legato is there and available. This is why this community is awesome. Matthew, I've grabbed your question. Penna DeFalco, I've grabbed your question as well. William Scott, I've grabbed your question as well. Page 167 in the manual explains flex time. There you go. Jade's already digging into the manual. Let's go back to the questions because I've got a heap of them coming in. Hi. I've grabbed your question as well. So let's go back to the questions. Is there an arranger? No, I don't believe so. I don't think we have the same sort of arranger that you have in GarageBand Mac or in Logic for Mac, but I could be wrong on that one. Not in the way that the arranger works. That all being said, I never really understood the arranger track in Logic, so I don't think so. How is it sharing project from Logic Mac to Logic iPad? So you saw the way I did it before. It's the same sort of thing. Just to get a Logic Mac project, put it on your iCloud drive, navigate to that folder, open the project, and then it'll open it here in Logic for iPad. Keep in mind that if you've got VSTs or audio unit plugins or anything that's not compatible with iOS or iPadOS, that won't come across. So you'll get similar errors there saying things are missing. It's not going to bring that stuff in there. So you might want to remove that before you bring it across to iPad. And the same the other way. So unfortunately, because we have two different sets of plugin architecture, it's not going to be exactly the same across both. And that's probably going to be the case for a while. No, it doesn't support audio interfaces that aren't class compliant. So the problem with iPad OS still remains, which is that we don't have the ability to install drivers for any audio gear that isn't class compliant or driverless. If you don't know what that means, it means that it doesn't need a driver to connect and to be used. So some of your more high-end mixers and audio interfaces require their own custom drivers for Mac or for PC. They can't be used in iPad at all. Will Logic Remote work if I have two iPads? That's a really good question. I don't think so. I think because Logic Pro Remote creates a direct connection between your iPad and your Mac, I don't think there's a way to integrate a second iPad and sort of daisy chain and have two things, one controlling something else. Could be wrong on that one, but I've never tried it. I've only ever used one iPad for Logic Remote. If someone else has an answer to that one, then do let us know. The only thing, I'm not sure, sorry. The only thing I'm wondering is what kind of automations, like volume automations, can I do in Logic for iPad? Right, so you can automate pretty much anything. So I showed it really briefly before, but if you go into your automation section here, you can see that as well as volume automation, you can actually set automation on your main channel for your pan, for your solo, for your mute, so you can have the mute or the solo coming on and off. And then you've got all of your inserts. So whatever plugins you've got on there, you can automate those coming on and off. We'll explore these in more detail. I'm conscious we've got a heap of questions. I'm going to answer the questions, but you can jump in there and play. But the short answer is yes, you could do everything. And there's a heap of modes that you can use here. You can use touch mode to actually touch in your automation points like you did in GarageBand. And there's even a brush mode that I haven't played with as much as I should. Or I think automation might be one of the first full video tutorials I do here on the channel over the next couple of days. In fact, let me know. Let me know in the comments if you're watching on the replay or live. Let me know in the comments what you think I should be covering first, because there's a heap under the hood here and a heap that we need to cover. What's the range of tempo in Logic Pro? Because in GarageBand, it's 40 to 240. I can only imagine it's going to be more than that. I reckon it'll give us a bigger range, but let's find out, shall we? So we'll go to the tempo here. And by the way, with your tempo, you can plug it straight in. So if we just type in 10, yep, we can have a tempo of 10. Which I think someone did a study and they said anything under 30 BPM, the brain doesn't recognize as music. So we'll undo that one. So I think you'd probably be able to go down. Look, let's just go to 1 because I know you want me to. Let's go to 0.1, in fact. 0.1. No, it's 5. Okay, 4? 5. All right, we've solved it. It's 5. What about 400? Yep, we have 400. All right, be careful. Block your ears, folks. Sometimes I sit around and back to the days when I was a little kid. That's funny. And yeah, clearly it's going to change the tempo of your tracks automatically, but not your audio tracks. So I think there's a way to actually set those to move with your tempo because you do have stretch mode, but I haven't spent enough time diving in. But there you go. That's the thing. Is there a noise gate? The Goth needs a gated reverb. Yes. Noise gates, I'm almost positive. I haven't actually, now that I've said that, I haven't actually looked at that in detail. Let's go to an audio track, lead vocals, and we'll go in here and we'll check out the plugins that this has on there. I mean, it already has the noise gate, the GarageBand noise gate on there by default, but I think there's a noise gate here. And you can search too. So the cool thing is you can search, there you go. So yeah, it's just got the standard noise gate like the GarageBand, or if we wanted to bring in, say, the Nembrini audio, they're better noise. Yes, okay, Nembrini. Exit. All right. You can bring in your custom plugins. So you can use any of your AUV3 plugins like the Audio Rack noise gate here from Nembrini. By the way, you can turn your plugins on and off just there. So that switch is going to turn those. And you can also see down the bottom here your different plugins. So you can actually tap down the bottom here to go through your different plugins down the bottom that are on each track. So it makes it pretty cool. Let's come back out of there. So yes, noise gate, your gated reverb requirements shall be met for sure. Jump back to the live chat real quick and just make sure we say good day to anyone that's joining us. Hello to Dr. Rabbitfoot. G'day. To Prod by Spider. Hello to you. Hope you're doing well. And is there anyone else? Tremor Bear, if I didn't say good day to you. Leslie Ann, I've grabbed your question and I've tagged that one for answering. Just checking for any other questions that we've got there. I think we've grabbed all of those. You can set markers, which are similar sections. Good point. I haven't found the markers yet, but I'm sure that you can. Tinker with all my little. Yeah, I haven't actually found that in the sections here of how to add a marker, but I'm sure you can, and I'm sure it's really easy, and I'm sure I'm just missing something simple. I'll read the manual. I'll get back to you once I've read the 960 pages. Matthew, I've grabbed your question as well. Back to my questions in order that we're answering. GarageBand, really nice guitar sounds. I wonder if you can still access them here in Logic Pro and what they sound like. Yes, and yes. And in fact, we've got more guitar sounds. We've got more of everything sounds. So probably buried the lead here in terms of the sounds that we do have in here. So if we go into our browser, remember the browser's where you go. Tap on Clear All to go back to your standard section and tap on the left here to go back to here. So we can come in here, you can look at all your loops and your samples. If we go to instrument patches, this is going to be all your MIDI type instruments. So what you can do is tap here and type in guitar and then tap that one on. That's going to create a guitar sample, a guitar filter there. And there's all the different guitar sounds you got. So in fact, you've got a bunch of different guitars there. You've got electric guitars. So you've got the Brooklyn Fields, blazing hot, rolling up. And you've got your standard ones here. So your old school acoustic, classical, hard rock still there. Yep. The old classic hard rock guitar. So you can't kill the hard rock guitar with its fairly crappy sounding distortion. So yeah, and anything, basically the good news here is that anything that's in GarageBand JSD is coming across, because that's what that compatibility pack's for. That's to bring everything from GarageBand iOS into Logic iOS. How do I add beats and bars? Also, how do I add a time ruler? So you can adjust up here, you can adjust, I believe, your view, or no, it might actually be in your view settings. So you can't use sections. Is that what you're asking for? Beats and bars. Add beats and bars. So beats and bars will be there by default. So you can see there as you go through, it's 7, bar 7, beat 1. And I'm pretty sure that up here in the settings is where we control view. No, it's a project settings. There is a control for this. No, I've forgotten where it is. Someone in the chat will be telling you, but there is the ability to swap that between beats and bars and the time. I just can't see it off the top of my head, but it's there somewhere. All right, I can't find it. Someone will let you know. But yes, I've done it before, unless I've hallucinated, which is highly likely because I've been spending a lot of time with this lately. Phil Goes says, not sure how to word this. How do I play along with one or more instruments with pre-recorded tracks like drums? I can hear them. If the track is stopped or recording, not during playing. I can hear them. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the question is there. Short version is you have tracks that are playing back, and then when you set a track to record on, you're going to play back the other tracks and only record on another track. And to ensure that you don't get any bleed across from what you're playing back, use some closed back headphones. So use some monitor headphones. You're hearing the sound, you're playing or singing the additional part, and then it's not going to pick up that bleed. If that's the question. If it's not, apologies, maybe try asking it a different way, and we'll see if we can help with that. Matthew says, can you loop record multiple takes for audio like you are recording vocal takes and pick the best section like I'm at? You sure can. Yeah, so there are multiple. There is a take system here. In fact, that's a good timing. Why don't I grab the microphone, which I should have prepared earlier. But I'll grab the case of gear, not the quesadilla. That would be delicious, but the case of gear, and I'll grab out a microphone and we'll plug in. And I'll show you some of the recording options because I'm sure folks are interested in seeing how the recording process works in action. And you get to hear me rap along. at the same time, which is always fun. So what I'm doing here, you can't see it because it's over my shoulder, but I'm grabbing an XLR cable, I'm plugging the end into the first channel on my Steinberg UR22C, so it's a 2-channel USB-C audio mixer, audio interface, that's what I meant, and I'm going to plug the other end into this, a dynamic microphone. This is just my AKG D5, my favorite dynamic mic. Unfurl that cord a little bit so that I can sing along, and let's set up to do what Matthew has asked for here. I'm just going to take that off the screen so we can see the whole layout here. So we can use the cycle mode that we talked about before to our advantage here.
Sometimes I sit around and wonder how it is I got here and if I'm going under.
So let's re-record that vocal part that we've got here. So there's my lead vocals. What we can do is we can tap on that one, we can duplicate, and that will create a track underneath. You can actually, I think there's an option to duplicate and bring the audio across too, which is cool, but we don't want to do that for this one. So what we'll do is we'll line this up, and we'll make the cycle go from just before there, so we've got a little bit more lead in to get to our part here. And let's record this and let's sing along. So to record, we engage record mode, check 1, 2, 3. You can hear that that's coming through there, and it's got all the same effects as this channel because it's on. And here's the good news. You don't have to worry about moving around. It's always going to stay on this screen. There's no separate record screen. You don't have to do any tricks or hacks there. So even recording one channel, it's going to stay on this screen. So we can sing along and see where we are here. Let's lower the volume of our original vocal, and let's hit record and record in this. In fact, we'll do a little bit less there so that we can show you the effect without having to do a heap. So I think we can go to there. Let's try this.
Sometimes I sit around and wonder how it is I got here and if I'm going under. All the complications of my past, all the times where I couldn't reach the mark in my back to the days where I was a little kid. Sometimes I sit around and wonder how it is I got here and if I'm going under. All the complications of my past, all the times when I couldn't reach the knife in my back to the days when I was a little kid.
All right, we'll pause that. I got the lyrics completely wrong there. I haven't sung this in a while. So you can see there we're still armed and it's telling us that. So we'll tap that off to unarm our record track. And yeah, what do we got here? Well, we've got this, but we've got a little number 2 there, don't we? So we can actually come in here, go to our takes and folders, and we can swap between those 2 takes. So you can just tap on that one, takes and folders, and move between the 2 takes. Second one was slightly better, so we'll go with the second take on that one. Let's just mute out this one and see what this sounds like.
Sometimes I sit around and wonder how it is I got here and if I'm going under. All the complications of...
Yeah, not fabulous after not enough sleep, but you get the idea, you get the gist there. So yeah, you've got a complete ability to do that, and that's great for things like guitar solos, where you're just trying over and over again to play that same riff and it's not happening. Just put it on, play. 10 takes, find the best one, move on, you're golden. So yeah, the take system here in Logic Pro, pretty cool, Matthew. I think you're going to enjoy it. I'll jump back out here and say g'day. Hello to Stasia. Thanks for being here. Hello to Ashley HM. Boom to you, my friend. I hope you are doing very well. If there's anyone I haven't said g'day to, just say hello here. Quesadilla. Stasia, I've grabbed your question and I'm answering questions in order, so I'm just jumping out to find the questions. If you're just joining us, Prod by Spider, I've got your question there as well, and Matthew, we've answered just now. So yeah, please do continue to ask your questions as we go through, and I will tag them and answer them as we get to them in order if I know the answers. And if I miss something, please do jump back and ask it. Can you pick pieces from each take? Yeah, so you can. I haven't quite done a full how to use the takes and do comping yet. I'm sure that there's a better comping system in here that I haven't really discovered yet. But yeah, you can actually comp it. I think you can go to the folder. So what you can do is you can unpack it. There you go. So yeah, you unpack it and see what it does. It creates multiple tracks there. And then I'm pretty sure we can repack it. Let's just do a quick test run on this. So say I liked the first half of that one, but I wanted the second half of this one. Can we do this and can we repack it and comp it back in just like this? What happens if we tap on that, takes and folders, pack the take folder? No. Okay. So yeah, there would be ways to do that. I haven't quite worked it out yet. Maybe we have to put that back to the original one. I would hope that there's a way that you can sort that. I mean, obviously you can do it manually like I just did there, but if you unpack the take folder, I guess that would be the way to comp it and to do it that way. We'll see. All right, back to the questions that we've got here. Can paste multiple tracks section to section? Yes, you can. So that's the good news here. So if you're used to using things like the sections and you wanted to do something like that, here's a simplified version of that. If we say tapped and dragged across these, so we've got these 3 tracks and we've got these 6 regions. What you can do is you go to the copy mode here, tap on that one, and then if you just drag these across, look what that does. Boom. Do you want to copy the automation data? Oh, wow, you can even copy the automation data. Yes, let's do that. Copy. Send it across. So there you go. So then you've actually got the ability to create that. You can also just use standard copy and paste. So if you don't like the idea of that, just remove that. If we just grab, say you wanted this whole thing, you wanted to repeat this whole lot, just grab all of that like so, tap on it, tap again, go down to your copy, copy, and then find your playhead to the position you want it, tap again, and hit paste at playhead. Yep, copy the automation again, and there you go. So yeah, you can multi-select a couple of ways. The other way to multi-select, if you don't want to do the whole move around, so you got things in different locations, you can actually tap this one on, the multi-select button, and this allows you to tap different regions from different tracks. And then if you wanted to, for whatever reason, copy and move all those, oh, no, it doesn't let you do that. Okay, because it says that makes no sense. But you could just copy them. So you could select multiple regions and just copy them. Once you take that one off, and then you've got them all selected, then you can copy them, and then you can paste them somewhere else. So yeah, plenty of ways to multi-select in Logic Pro. Can you add AUV3 and how? Great question, and yes. So let's in fact do that. Let's grab that vocal that I just created down here. So this little piece of vocal that I created for this, and let's show you how to do some plugins. So here is my wonderful vocal take that we just recorded. Actually,
Sometimes I sit around and wonder how it is I got here and if I'm going under.
So it's already got a few plugins on there, but what if we wanted to swim this in delay? Well, there's a few ways that we can approach plugins here in Logic Pro. We can use the plugins button down the bottom here and just scroll down to find, there's our track. And we can use this to add in different plugins. So we'll tap on our track there. So at the moment, we've got the noise gate, compressor, lux. We don't have the overdrive on there, that's been turned off. We've got the platinum verb on there, and we've got the channel EQ, and we've put this noise gate, which we'll just turn off because we don't need that. Let's double tap on this one. So we can adjust this. So say we wanted to have a little bit more of this, we can adjust the room size of this reverb, and if we hit play.
Sometimes I sit around and wonder how it is I got here and if I'm going under. All the complications of my past, all the times when I couldn't reach the knife in my back to the... Sometimes I sit around...
And what if we want to add a whole new plugin? That was your question. So to do that, over here on the right-hand side, we've got Audio Effects. We tap on that one. Let's go to our delay, because that's what we wanted to do. We'll jump in here to the Delay Designer, because this gives us the most options here in Logic Pro. Double tap on that one, and let's just go to our presets. So plugin presets are over here in our browser. Yeah, how cool is this? You don't have to worry about where your presets are, because whatever you've got selected here, your presets are going to be for whatever you've got there. So if we go here to a complex filtered, we can actually tap that one, and then let's go ease in and out, and we'll drag that. Oh, no, we just tap it, don't we? Double tap it. There you go. Is that a single tap or a double tap? Single tap. So single tap there, and that's created that plugin. So you can see here that that's going to adjust these settings based on which one we set, or of course we can drag around and put whatever we want there. So let's just see what we've created here. What monstrosity.
That's a
little nuts. What if we just go with a drain or a drag sweep on here?
All the complications of my past, all the times...
Yeah, maybe not. So we've probably chosen the wrong effect there, but no problem. We can just turn it off and it's gone, and we don't have to worry about that. To delete a plugin, by the way, just tap and hold on that one and hit the remove button. You can also replace the plugin. So if we didn't want this noise rack, which we don't, we can tap and hold on that one and replace it. and replace it with something else. So let's instead just put a tape delay on there instead. And now,
When I couldn't reach the knife in my back to the days when I was a little kid.
yeah, sweet. So that's our plugins. The other place you can adjust plugins is in your mixer. So if you're into your mixing phase, you can come in here to your mixer, and then if we find that same track, you'll see, in fact, let's get rid of the browser. Let's get rid of the plugins section, and let's bring the mixer up like that. So down here, you can see there is our track, and we've got all of our plugins up here, and we've also got bus sends here. So these are something different that we have here in Logic Pro, where you can actually send them over to these buses. So we've got bus 1 and bus 2, and I can't for the life of me even remember what these are doing. Because I don't know. I haven't played around with this enough to work it out. There they are. Is that those two? No, I don't know. So, but we've got the ability to use sends to send all of our tracks. So say you wanted to send your tracks to a reverb or a delay. In fact, it might have set these up to send it to a delay and a reverb, because it might be emulating the master echo and the master reverb in GarageBand. So that's probably what those buses are. I haven't had time to actually look at it, but that's what I would imagine is set up there, is those stereo buses. So that's the other place you can play with your plugins. You can adjust them here in the mixer or in the plugins section. So you've got options. That's one of the good things about Logic Pro, is you've got options. Oh, by the way, have you noticed here that we've got this up here? All of our mutes are flashing at us, and this solo button is on. The solo light's on and the mute buttons are flashing to tell us, guess what, Johns? Something's going on here. Have you ever been playing a project and you're like, what's going on? What's not happening here?
Times I sit around and wonder how.
There's a solo on. Tap that one, the solo goes off, everything's back. So even if you don't know, remember, have you ever done that where you're scrolling through a project like 64 tracks, you're trying to find that one solo track to turn it back off again? Well, yeah, you don't have to worry about that, because if you've got one thing soloed, your solo is going to be up the top. And I think it works as well if you've got multi-track soloed. So you've got multiple tracks soloed. I reckon that, yeah, that turns off all solos there. Turns on or off all of your soloed tracks. So just another little quality of life feature that Apple have thrown into Logic Pro that works very well indeed. Next up, we've got Hi. I'll answer your question next. I'm just jumping out here, and I'm checking if we have any additional questions. We'll say g'day to folks that have joined us here. Hello to BT, g'day to you. DJ Big Red, if I didn't say g'day to you earlier. Thanks, Bobby Boyd. Appreciate you dropping by. Please jump back and let us know if you would like to, if you've got any other questions. Come and catch the replay or ask any questions down in the comments. Have you found flex pitch? Don't think we have the full flex pitch abilities. We'll play around with that in a little while, but I don't think we have the full thing there. Gary Knight, I've grabbed your question there. Just going to scroll down and see if we've got any more cues. Prod by Spider, grabbed your additional question there. Micah, I've grabbed your question. We've got about a 10 question backlog at the moment, so hang out. I'm going to get to them all. And Jays D, I've grabbed your additional question there, as well as Black Diamond, as well as Janet Grace. I've grabbed your question there. We're a little behind. Gary Knight, welcome aboard. I've grabbed your question, and Everything and Nothing, I've grabbed your question as well there. If I miss ya, please ask me again. Alrighty. Charles says, hey Pete, remember that guide you put out to be able to sort your GarageBand videos? Seeing as you already did the beginner iPad for Logic video, it would behoove us or some to sort some of that out now. Yeah, absolutely. You definitely want to get yourself organized and get ready for this, because there's a lot going on here. Speaking of a lot going on, if you would like to support the channel, there's a few ways you can do it. You can hit the thumbs up button down below. You can always donate via the PayPal link or a super chat here on YouTube. That's always appreciated. And yeah, just being here and commenting and engaging and asking your questions, helping, because I'm already banking up a bunch of ideas, because I'm going to be coming back and making a heap more videos in the very near future. All right, let's go back to the question. Have a quick drink. Back to le question. By the way, I'm here for a while, guys, so don't stress. If you haven't got your question answered yet, hang out. We'll get to everything as we go through. Hi Ho says, thanks for your live streaming. Question, is it possible to use Cubase as its own plugins? I think it's not compatible. I can answer this in one word, and that is no. Unfortunately, Cubases, those very cool Waves plugins that Cubases have, are exclusive to Cubases. They're not actually AUV3 plugins. They're built into Cubases 3. Therefore, they're not compatible. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But I guess the good news might be that because Logic Pro is now on iPad, some of the plugin makers that haven't been releasing their plugins might be starting to consider that because they want to jump on the bandwagon. Question from Leslie: can you select your favorite loops with a heart symbol like in GarageBand? Yes, you can absolutely favorite things. So let's jump into the browser and I'll show you how we do that. So we'll go back here because we're in the plugin presets and we're not in something that has plugins. So say we go in here and we go to the audio patches and you're like, I'm a huge chiptune fan. So I'm going to come in here to the sound packs and I'm going to, oops, hang on, what are we? We're in audio patches, that's the problem. We need to go to loops. So let's go to loops. And I'm a huge 8-bit gamer fan. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to check out all these cool new 8-bit chiptune packs, so 8-bit legends, this one here. So we've tapped that on with the filter. So we're going to come down here and you're like, oh, there's some really cool things in here. Actually, I reckon this is my favorite. Yeah. That's cool. I dig it. So what we can do is if we, I think it's a swipe to the right. Yep, swipe to the right. And that's going to favorite it. And then swipe and it unfavorites it. So you see how when you swipe to the right, it's taken that heart away? Sorry, this is the left swipe, and it's added it to our favorites. So if now we come out here and we go to our favorites, it's going to be in here. So there it is again. And so you can set up your favorites here, and then the cool thing is you can use all those same filtering for your favorites. So you don't really have to organize your favorites manually. You can set up your favorites and have as many different loop samples patches in your favorites. You don't have to worry about sorting or arranging them because they're all going to be in there and ready to go. And by the way, we can if we go back to our favorites, we're going to ruin this song because I'm going to change a bunch of the instruments. But say this Mission to Saturn sound, we wanted a different sound on this one. What if we wanted this the 16mm film electric piano? Well, there's a couple of ways that we can change it. If we just tap on that, whoop, that's going to be the preview. If we tap on that one, we can actually drag this over. Oh, no, we can't. Why can't we dump it there? I've told you a lie. Why must I turn this into lies? So this it's obviously not an instrument patch. This is going to be a MIDI file because it's giving us the ability to drop it into there, but I had assumed that I could drop it directly on here to change the instrument. But you can do that if we just come back out here and we go to our instrument patches and we grabbed, say, this one here. We should be able to tap that one. And is that going to change it out here? Yes. So it's actually changing it just by tapping. And the reason for that is that this replace button is on, because with that on, every time we tap one of these, it's gonna change it. So if you want to just go through and audition different sounds, that's the way to do it. If we come back here, 8-bit grit. Let's try this sound. Nice. And the alternative way to do that is without that enabled, if we tap that off, then when we're moving around, it's not going to actually change it. What you then need to do is what I was showing before, is tap and drag and dump it on there. And that's how it's going to change the sound in your track. Well, that sounds kind of cool with that funk clav. Yeah. No, I'm going to leave that one on there for now. So, yes, short answer, yes, you can use favorites, and there's a whole bunch under the hood that you can do with them there. Matthew, can you do cycle recording for guitar or vocals to edit to swipe? Yeah, so we covered that one. Yes, you can. I showed the cycle recording and the takes folder. You can definitely use your cycle, select the best part, and then go with that. And there's clearly a whole bunch more under the hood there that I need to get to as well. Nice one. Yes, if you want to hit the like button, that really helps me out. I appreciate you big time. What would home recording in YouTube be without Pete Johns? I don't want to know. I don't want to know either. Yeah, you can also join the Patreon. So don't forget, we've got a Patreon. Thomas Christ is one of our patrons and one of our wonderful moderators. So you can jump on over there and check that one out. Hello, Mike and Dawn. Happy lurking, my friend. Appreciate it. Transpose, if you tap the times, yeah, I did get a question there about transposing a whole song, which I don't know the answer to, but we're going to experiment together. Don't forget, if you've got questions, please go ahead and let me know. Organized progression of the tutorials. Yeah. definitely. And there's already a playlist, and I'm going to try and have some separate playlists for specifically the Logic tutorials and share those. So keep an eye on the channel, and I'll do that. But yes, you're right. We need to be organized in our own projects, but also John's needs to be organized in how I share the information with you. Is there a limit of 32 tracks like GarageBand? No. In fact, I think I've already got 32 more than 32. No, I think the limit in Logic Pro is about 256, but even that's not really a limit because I think that's your total track stacks. I think you can actually have sort of sub-tracks. So if you've got a drummer, for instance, you can actually have your multiple bits underneath the drummer. So if it's come across from GarageBand, can we do that? Create a folder stack. Yeah, there we go. So we can actually, oh no, that's just going to put it under there. Some of your sounds in here, it'll actually layer them down. We'll just undo that. We don't need that. Can we do that? Is there a summing? Create a summing stack? Yeah, no, it's not going to work for this. But yeah, short answer is yes, plenty more, at least 256. So you won't run out of tracks anytime soon. Off topic, but do I have permission to sample one of your songs? Yes, you do. Almost definitely. Yeah, just reach out as a courtesy and say, hey, I'd like to remix this. That's what a lot of people have done in the past, or I'd like to use this sample. And I will almost definitely say yes, because I believe in sharing music. I don't believe in holding on to my songs and not allowing them. I think that the more we share, the more we learn, and then the better the music that we all create. A high tide raises all ships. Let's not try and sink anyone's schooner. And other nautical things. Hey, go on, Mark, bro. Go with the nautical themes today. All right, and how do you export your song? Great question. That is a very good question indeed. So we're going to save this song. So we're going to tap the save button there to save this weird version of this project with all these different things that I've done there. We're going to jump back in here. So in order to export or to bounce down or to save your project as a track, we just tap on the project name here and hit the export button. Boop. And here you've got the name there, you've got the entire project length, you can do it compressed or uncompressed. You can export all tracks as individual audio files. Yeah, baby. In fact, I've never done this. Let's experiment. Let's try this. So the reason you might want to do that is say you want to share this and create audio files and then give them to someone that's using Pro Tools, or that's using Persona Studio One, or that's using Cakewalk by BandLab. You can do that, and you can actually send them out as individual tracks. Processing details, you've got the audio tail. Here we go. Do you want normalizing? No. We're going to have normalizing off. Yes, because that's the one thing in GarageBand we couldn't do. Overload protection only. So that's going to only protect. So normalization, what that does, and this is why GarageBand, I'm going to take a quick side tour here, side bench. This is why GarageBand had a problem, is that you can't turn off auto normalization. And auto normalization does two things. If your track is too low, it brings it up to 0 dB, the maximum volume. That's okay. That's not as harmful, because if you want to go master it, you just turn the input volume down. You can still master it. You still got headroom. The problem was this one. GarageBand actually protects you from overloading. If you've got your tracks up too loud and your overall master volume is too loud, which you can't tell in GarageBand because there is no real metering, then what it does is it actually limits and compresses the top of your song. And that's where you get that horrible pumping sound that people have in their GarageBand tracks. So what this is going to do, with that off, if you're clipping, it's going to sound dreadful, and you're going to very quickly know, and you're going to learn from that. Jade Starr said it perfectly in her show today. She said it holds your hand with GarageBand, but it needs to find a way. It's like a parent. It needs to find a way to let go. It needs you to be able to walk to the shops by yourself eventually. And that's what Logic Pro is going to allow us to do. It's going to allow us to walk to the shops by ourselves. And I'm super happy to report that it is off by default. Hooray! All right, I'll shut up now. So let's share this. Now, I've realized that I'm doing this individual audio file. So if this takes forever, we might bow out, but we'll hit the share button and see what happens, because I've literally never done this before. Exporting all tracks, and we'll see what happens. While that exports, I'll jump back over here. Hello, Ponk80. Hello, Sebastian Zwark. Hello, Keith Barnes. I hope you are doing well. If you do have questions, don't forget that all you need to do is put a Q. Just put a big chunky Q in front of your question, and I'll definitely try to answer anything that comes your way. There you go. So now we've got the ability to save these. So we'll come down here and we'll save to files, and let's dump these somewhere. Where can I put them? I like to just put things in my downloads file because I never really know where else to put them. Let's save this in my downloads file and I'll see what format it saves all these audio files in. Because hopefully, if we come out to our Files app, go to our downloads, I'm hoping it saved them in like a folder. Hang on, let's just search for these by date. Yes, it has. So there is the zip folder. And if we open that one up and we jump into this, oh, there you go. It's got your track numbers and your track names there. So it's got your track number, your track name, and all that goodness. Would be cool if you could add things like BPM or other things to each track so that you could share it and know that. But I guess you could change your project name to that if you wanted to, and then it would adjust that. But that's pretty cool. That's worth the price of admission right there, I reckon. Very cool. Yes, do go ahead and ask your questions if you do have them. New GarageBand chiptune. I thought that might happen. I didn't see it in there, but I thought so. We do have the new chiptune pack. I talked about it just before. Hello, Teddy. I talked about it just before. So there is a new chiptune pack in Logic Pro, and I was surprised that I didn't see that same chiptune pack in GarageBand. But it sounds like there is indeed that option there. Brad Example, hello to you. I have tagged your question, my friend, and I will get to it. We've got a lot of folks asking lots of questions, which is wonderful. There's a lot of, as Audible Video says, a lot of interest in this topic today. And Sebastian, I've grabbed your question there. Jays D, Keith Barnes, I've grabbed your questions and tagged them. And Teddy Leopard, I've grabbed yours, as well as Audible Video. Can we experiment with transposition now? I will get to the transposition. I think it's coming. I think it's one of the questions. I'm trying to make sure I answer questions in order so that if folks are waiting around for their question, I'm not jumping the gun and moving to next question. So we've answered that one for Prod by Spider. Can you select multiple tracks? If so, how? Yeah, we covered that one, Gary. So hopefully you saw that. Actually, multiple tracks. That's a good question. I don't think we have multiple track selection. I could be wrong on that one. Let's just see if we can tap and like multi-touch. No. So I think we can't select multiple tracks, which would be convenient to move. You can put a track stack together, and I think we had a question about that later. So we'll do a track stack in a moment so that we can actually bring tracks together. But yeah, I don't believe that you can select more than one track, but you can, of course, select more than one region by either dragging over them, like so, or turning your multi-select button on at the top there. So there are a couple of ways to get that multi-select of regions done, but unfortunately not for tracks. Mitch has a question. How to import audio from a separate project? Example, like I had stems in my iPad from a separate project. Yeah, I did show that before, so hopefully you saw that one. You need to open it in your Files app and then bring it across. So if you've got it in a project, then you'll need to export it as an audio file. Now, I just showed you how Logic Pro does that really easily. If you're in something else, like GarageBand, what you'd need to do is basically grab each track, solo it, and then export it. So export each solo track and save them as a track name, as a WAV file, and then save them somewhere in your files, and then bring those over. Save them in your Files app, bring those over to Logic Pro, and drop them in each individual track as an audio file, and that will bring them across. So hopefully that helps and has answered that question. JSD, is there a limit to how many plugins you can add? GarageBand only has at 4, if not 3. That's a great question. Is there a limit? I haven't tried to find a limit, but let's do that now. We'll go to the mixer because it'll be an easier view to look at. Let's come in here. Let's add an insane amount of plugins to one track, shall we? What track should we treat with all the plugins? Let's pick on that lead vocal track that I did before, which is this one here, I think, the second lead vocal track. We'll just bring that down for a minute. I think it was this one that we just. Oh no, it wasn't. That's my backing vocals. It's this one here. This is why you need better track naming than I do. So let's look at this track, which again we can see is soloed down here. And let's go to our setup mode. Remember your mixer mode. You can go to setup mode here. And let's just add a whole bunch of random plugins. So let's put some distortion. No, won't put distortion. Won't put anything that is going to affect it too much. We'll put some vintage tube EQ on there. Let's do that. Let's put on a delay. We'll put some stereo delay on there. Let's choose. I think the short answer here is going to be it's going to be a lot more. Let's put some auto filter on my vocal because why not? This is going to sound so great. Let's go with some modulation. Let's put a flange on there. because why not? What else can we put on here? Let's put a metering plugin on there just so that we can see. Because we've got things like loudness meter, which is very handy. What else can we put on there? Specialized. Exciter. Yes. Oh, we got an exciter. I'm excited. There doesn't seem to be any limit here. I think the limit would only be based on your processing power of your iPad. But you can see here we've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I know you want to know what this sounds like. I do too. Let's have a listen, shall we?
Sometimes I sit around and wonder how it is I got here and if I'm going under. All the complications of my past, all the times when I couldn't reach the knife in my back, to the days when I was a little kid.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, you got heaps of real estate there, heaps of room for all the plugins. Of course, once you start adding that many plugins, it will make your your interface here have a lot of scrolling around to do. But that's not a major issue. By the way, I can't do it here because of the way I'm sharing my screen, but you can turn your iPad on its side and get even longer faders. So if you're doing some precise mixing, flip that sucker around and you can use vertical faders even longer than what we've got here. All right, let's get back to turning everything off and going back to this. Remember, there's our cool solo button. We're back. We've got everything back and ready to go. Next question. Thank you, JSD. Good question. Great stuff. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Don't forget, press the like button if you like it. Sorry I have so many questions. Is Space Designer, Space Designer is one of your reverbs, and it is in there. It's one of your plugins. You can use it. I won't demo it now because we're short on time and we've got lots of questions to get to. But yes, you do have Space Designer. It is cool. Go use it. Janet, sorry for the delay. We're finally there. I'm using an Air 5. I also have a standalone Tascam 24 track. Can I record simultaneously on both machines to DAW and to the 24? I believe so. It would depend on the routing. I've not used the Tascam personally, so it depends on the setup and how you're routing your audio. So if it's a USB device and it also records itself locally, and it can also set it to send that out as multi-outs, and you can set your logic to record multi-in. So for instance, I'll just give you an example here. I've only got a 2-channel interface set up, so it won't be. I'll pop this aside so that you can see what we're doing here. But if I was to say set up a new track here, and we wanted to come in here, audio track, we'll tap on that one. For me, I would just set up, say I wanted 2 tracks. I wanted to record my input 1 from my Steinberg on that one. I'll hit create track there. That creates a new audio track there. And then if we do it again, hit plus, and then I wanted to create audio track, and then I wanted the other one to be on input 1 or input 2. Did I do the other one on 1? I can't remember. And then I'd create that. And then you'd have both of those. And what you do is you multi-arm, you arm both tracks, and then it's going to record on both of them. And if you want to just do a quick check of which track you have on which, you can hit this button here, not your inspector, sorry. What was it? No, that one, your fader button. I'm getting there, folks. Your fader button, and then you can quickly see that, and you've got access to what each one is. So that one's going to be on channel 1, and this one's going to be on channel 2. So I'm assuming that if you're using a multi-track, multi-channel interface, and you have the ability to set it up across all your different channels, then you'd just be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, set up all your audio tracks, and you'd be good to go. Let's delete these tracks. Oh, here's a cool thing. Delete unused tracks. Let's do it. So have you ever done that thing where you set up a bunch of tracks and then you're trying to clean up your project and you're like, I'm going to have to go through and find every track that doesn't have something on it. Well, Logic Pro's got a solution. If you tap on this and go to delete a track, guess what? You go delete unused tracks and it goes through and finds all the tracks you got nothing on and it deletes them. So these ones have got a bit of something on there. It didn't, for whatever reason, it just didn't delete that one track. So delete unused tracks. It must think I'm using that one. Let's go to this one and go delete unused tracks. There you go. It's got rid of that one. So that's a pretty cool option as well. So yeah, short version, Janet, is you should be fine as long as it's as long as class compliant USB and it can plug into your iPad, and you can then Logic Pro will let you set each individual inputs and outputs as well, which is pretty cool. Gary says, I assume you can save your own presets for Logic Pro's own plugins, but can you save presets for... Really good question. Can you save presets for third-party V3s? There's only one way to find out. Let's have a look. So we'll pick on this vocal track again that we've added 17 presets on, and we'll go here to our plugins, and Let's grab one that is a third party. So I think we had the Lux on here. We did. We had the Clevgrand Lux. So we'll double tap that one and come in here. So this is a very simplified plugin, so it doesn't actually have a whole lot of options. Do we have the ability to save? Show presets. Save as. Save plugin preset. Lux custom. Save it. Okay, so it looks like it. It looks like it might store user Lux custom. So it looks like it does store plugin presets for your plugin. Let's just try a different one. So if we add another plugin, let's add, say, the Wider plugin from Infected Mushroom, because I just love that name of that company. Infected Mushroom, Wider. So if we add the Wider plugin, let's just double tap this one and add some width. And so we always like 77 because we always like 79 because that's the best year, isn't it? Yeah. Where's my 1979 crew at? Oops, I made it 78. 79. Tap this one, save as, and we'll just call this Wider 77 and save it in. All right. Then, yeah, we've got that option there. And then under here, every time we can show presets, and it's going to show user, and we can add that Wider 77. So if we've got it set to there, we add that, boom. Okay. Short answer is yes, Gary. I was going to say Robert. That was the last question. Gary, yes, it looks like we can, as I exit the project, it looks like we can indeed set our own plugin presets. And I think it's pretty cool because I think your plugin presets are dynamic. So based on whichever plugin you've got selected under here, plugin presets, it's going to change from that. So as we go through these, and you can see there that the ones that don't have their own presets, like your third parties, when you've got your user presets, it's going to give you that. And you can actually select them straight from there. You don't even have to open the full version of the plugin. So if we come back here to Wider, and we tap Wider, we can go to our user, and we can just set it to Wider 77. So we'll just make sure it actually works. No? Do we have to drag it onto it? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's not. Oh, no, 79, that's right. It is 79. Okay. That's cool. So yes, short answer, yes. We can do that. Let's get back in the habit of closing everything off and grab our next question, which comes from Everything and Nothing. How do you transpose a whole project? Yeah, so I'm assuming that we can adjust the entire project's key signature. Let's find out. Let's explore this together. Although this says it's C major, which I don't think it's in. So let's we'll play.
My life, all the times when I couldn't reach a knife in my back to the days when I was
regular one back in. So if we were to come in here and we were going to change this key, is this going to transpose it? I don't know. Let's go to D.
I was a little kid, always worried about the things I never did, always think about the next big problem, even when it's someone else that's on the hook me in, line and sinker. Ever wonder what it's like to be an overthinker, tinker with all my little...
Yes. So what it's done is it's changed, if we get rid of the vocals, yes. So what that's done is it's changed our virtual instruments. So it's changed any of our green MIDI tracks because they will follow the key. It hasn't changed our audio tracks. So, which is a similar sort of thing that we have in GarageBand and in other apps. So let's just undo that. We'll tap and hold because we should have levels of undo. Oh, no, you can only undo one thing at a time by the looks of it. All right. It doesn't have, undo doesn't include your change of key signature. Well, that's interesting. Hopefully it's going to be able to come back to C now. That's weird. Has it actually changed some of those? It's hard to tell in a project like this. Okay, it has moved those. That might be because it's an Apple loop. Maybe it's an Apple loop, so it's going to change those. What about this one here? So no, this one hasn't, because this one is different type of audio file. So I don't think it's going to have the smarts to be able to just change everything when you use that transpose, especially vocals and things like that. And I think that this is where people want flex pitch, which I understand why you would, because it would be much better if you could do that. I think the options we have in here, I don't think we have tempo, we have analyze tempo and a smart tempo. Okay, so maybe maybe you can add tempo information, maybe you can use some of that flex time with the tempo, but I don't think there's flex pitch is anything that we can do with this. Could be totally wrong with that. There's so much under the hood. I've got to read the 960-page manual. I think I've ruined this project just quietly. I think I have to come out and open this other version from earlier in the day. Otherwise, it's going to cause problems. Open new. No? In fact, let's move. Let's move to a different project. We've spent a lot of time in that project. Let's open up a bit of a punk song, shall we? So I have in my Logic Pro for iPad, no, in my GarageBand, in fact. GarageBand for iOS. Why are you not tapping? What am I doing here? What am I doing wrong? Why can't I open these projects? Let's close. Maybe we need a quick close and reopen. It's getting tired. It's tired of my nonsense. We'll reopen Logic Pro and we'll find a new project, shall we? So, yeah, short answer, everything and nothing. I don't think, unless you've got all the same, I don't think you've got the... Oh, why are we not being able to open again now? Oh, I was getting a bit worried there for a moment. Logic Pro for iPad. For our poor folks that have been playing with the new Final Cut for iPad, I personally have had issues with it, and other people have also had issues. All right, we're going to open this Goats project now. We're going to get into some punk songs. All right, so here's my punk song called Goats, and we're going to be playing around with this project for the rest of the video. All right.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, let's go!
So this should be fun because we got a lot more audio tracks in here, a lot less MIDI, more audio tracks. We have played around with a bit of MIDI stuff already. So we'll continue with this. Does the Hammond organ plugin look the same as the Mac version? Great question. Let's have a look. Let's open up the organ. So hit plus. We'll go to a new track. So this is the other way we can do. So there's basically two ways to add a new track. You can go to your browser here, which is probably the easier way to be honest, and just hit your instrument patches there, or you can go plus and then go MIDI and software instrument and select it from here. But I don't know, because it just creates a default instrument and then you've got to go select your patch anyway. So you might as well just grab a patch and drag it into a project, to be honest. Let's find the organ. Let's just cheat and search for the organ under instrument patches. Where's the, what is it called? It's just called, is it classic rock organ? That's what the Hammond's called, isn't it? Yeah, classic rock organ. So we'll tap that one. Now, you'll notice here, it hasn't changed because we don't have replace mode on. So we would have to drag it across, or if we like having replace mode on, just tap it, and it should change to that. I hope. Maybe it hasn't. All right, I don't quite know why I didn't do that. Maybe because it's the first time we're adding it. All right, let's look at the interface that we have here. So there is our organ and vintage B3. Ooh, it's a different layout, isn't it? It does. Oh, okay. I was about to say it doesn't really have all the options. No, it's just slightly different layout. It's got all the options and then some. So you've got all your upper and lower drawbars there that you can adjust. You've got your pedal drawbars, you've got your rotation, you've got your slow, brake, and fast. You've got an additional rotation option there. You've got much more defined vibrato controls by the looks of it here. You can control your rate and the amount of vibrato. You've got pitch decay on there. You've got your volume, percussive volume. You've got effects on here, your global effect. Yeah, there's a heap to play with. You've got a built-in EQ. You've got your distortion controls. You've got your rotor cabinet controls there for your Leslie cabinet. You got microphone settings. You got click options. You got, oh my goodness, yeah. So short answer is no, it's not the same as GarageBand. Keith, longer answer is yeah, got a heap in here. And in fact, let's explore the presets, shall we? Because what we can do is we should be able to come out here and go to plugin presets. And there you go. So if we wanted to play an 80s pop organ, let's give it that sound. Or like a funk organ. Pretty cool. What about hard rock? Hard rock organ. Yeah. Nice. So yeah, you got a heap of options in there. The Hammond looks like it's pretty gosh darn amazing in the new version of Logic Pro. We are talking Logic Pro here. If you're just joining us, welcome aboard. I've got a heap more time to answer your questions, but we have a heap in the backlog at the moment. So if you do have a question, do me a solid. Put a big Q in front of it. I will tag those questions and we're answering them in order. So I'm just going to jump here into the comments and see if we've got any additional questions that I can add to the list. It looks like we've got a couple of these. Do I have two wives? You hate it when you're scrolling through and you just see something random and weird. Two wives? I do have a great wife though. Yes, with all you're doing and asking. Exactly, I do. I have an amazing wife. Thank you. Thank you for asking. She's awesome. She put up with the fact that I had to get up at 2 o'clock this morning. I'm happy to say I didn't wake her. At least I don't think I did. But she's nice. She probably wouldn't tell me if I did. But no, I was up at 2 o'clock this morning because I was doing all this business, and it's worth it. It's worth it to help you folks out. Do third-party plugins work? They do. I can answer that really quickly as we scroll through. AUV3 they need to be. Audio Unit version 3. Robert, I've grabbed your question. BT, I've grabbed your additional question. I'm just looking for the letter Q. I wish StreamYard would allow me to auto-tag anything that had a Q in front of it. That would be awesome. Very cool. Yeah, if you looked up the App Store and you can't find it, there's a link in the description. Or if you go to my webpage, logicipad.com, it is there. There's a link to it. So if you can't find it in the App Store, there's a link to it. Hello, Kim Harden Hudson, Kim to the H squared. Hope you're doing well. Just scrolling down here to have a look. 1979. Whoop, whoop. Yep, best year. All right. Jays D, I've grabbed your question. I'm going to continue looking at the chat and we'll get there. Hello, Antoinette. Is this a new iPad or does it have to be on Mac? No, iPad all the way. Any iPads with a A12 processor or better, go and check out logicipad.com. Does it have a deep purple organ and beer sound? That'd be cool. Still Iller, I've got your question. Yeah, logicipad.com has all of the place. Is the church door organ sound like an actual church organ? Oh, good question. Church door organ? Sounds just as creepy as a church organ. I'm going to say yes. All right, so I answered that one out of order because it was quick. All right, we've got 13 questions in the backlog now. If you've asked a question, we will be getting to it. We're going to start off again with this one from I am Stephen Tucker. Hello, Stephen Tucker. I am Pete Johns. Is there a multi-out for AUV3? And is there MIDI Learn? Multi-out for AUV3? I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure if we do have multi-out on our plugins. Whoop, come back in. It's not something that I personally use, so I'm probably not going to be able to answer that straight up. But I would recommend any questions I can't answer, because there'll be plenty. Please go down to the comments section below and ask your question down there, and there'll be other intelligent folks that'll be able to help out with that. Let's go to my vocal here, and we'll go to plugins, and we'll just select one. So we'll go to the channel EQ. So what options do we have? We have plugin controls. We don't seem to have output controls for plugins unless they're in the mixer, and we can do that. I'd probably have to select a plugin that actually supports that. So I think with my level of knowledge and with the time we have here today, I don't know. And MIDI Learn, I also don't know. I know you've got great questions, Stephen, which is why I don't know the answers yet. So I would pose them, or you know what you can do. I won't do this right now, but I showed it before, the Logic Pro help file, that has a 960-page PDF. So if you can do it, it'll probably be in that guide. So I would go and check the guide, not to handle your question, but I would go and check the guide and see if there's an answer there. Brad Example, my friend, I hope you are doing well. Practice makes progress, doesn't it? And that's what we're doing here today. How does the subs and master track work? Yeah, so it's a new experience for those of us that have been using GarageBand for a while, but the simple version of this, and I wish I had a simpler track to show you here, but the simple version of this is, if we just embiggen our mixer here. So we have all of our tracks, and just like in any other DAW, we can use each individual track, and you can add what we call inline plugins. So these are plugins that are happening just on that track. But what you can also do is you can add sends. So see how these have bus 1 and bus 2? These are actually going to send these tracks out to some bus tracks. And what you can set up on a bus track is effects. So if we come down here, this is bus 1 and bus 2. This is our echo and reverb. So the reason these are all going to bus 1 and bus 2 is that we had echo and reverb on our original track. So it gives you the ability to send things out. Actually, is that bus 4 classic rock organ? Yeah. Again, I haven't spent a lot of time with these. I'm assuming that these are the case. So what you can do is you can set up a drums send, and then you can send all your drums to one bus, and then you can put a bunch of effects on that bus. You can set up a reverb bus, and so you can add reverb to all your tracks and send them all to that one reverb. The master track is your stereo out down here. This gives you the ability to impact that whole track. So the good news here, for those of us that have come from GarageBand, is that if we play this song, we can
1, 2,
adjust our master volume. The other cool thing is you'll see we've got clip indicator here, so we'll know if our volume. So if we play the whole song through, this little minus 3.7 will actually show. Let's clip it on purpose to show you. So see how we've got that 2.0? If you ever got that, it means you're clipping on your master bus. So that's where you're going to distort and you're going to have problems there. So we'd turn that volume down. The other cool thing we can do here, Brad, is add plugins directly to this one. So you can see it's got a limiter on here. We can actually set a limiter. So if we're playing along, I find it. We can actually add the limiter in line to our master track. So if you want to do like a quick master, but you don't want to spend a lot of time, you can literally throw the limiter here, and then you can like turn it on and off and see the difference between the two with the limiter on and the limiter off. So that's like the 2-second answer or the 2-minute answer. I've got to explore it more because I haven't used a DAW with sends and with buses for a long time, but that's the basis of it, is that you can group all your tracks together, you can send them all to a bus, and then you can decide how much. So say you got a reverb, you can say, all right, on my guitar I want it to a little reverb, but I want my vocals to be swimming in reverb. So you can adjust however much it sends to each track based on that. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight into that one. But yeah, I for one have to spend more time learning more about it. Sebastian's got a question, and he says, is Logic listen to all MIDI channel at once like GarageBand? It's not smart like BM3. I think you can select the MIDI channels. So I haven't spent a lot of time with MIDI instruments plugged in, but I'm pretty sure under your settings in your Explorer here, you've got MIDI import all, or you can select it if you've got a MIDI device actually plugged in. So you've got MIDI import, you've got MIDI in channel. Yeah, there you go. There's your channel selection. So no, it doesn't just go dumb, and you do have MIDI out as well, which is a lot of people are going to be very, very happy about. I don't use MIDI out personally, but other people do. So yeah, you're going to have the ability to determine your MIDI import and your MIDI output, and do MIDI in and MIDI out with each track, which is pretty cool. It's not just going to be dumb like GarageBand and listen to every track all the time, which doesn't work for all people and all interfaces. Can we access smart instruments like we can with GarageBand? That's what I meant by my question earlier when I asked about guitars. Not really, but you don't need to. So the smart instruments, the good news is that every instrument can be used like every other instrument. So if you're asking about guitars, if you want to use the guitar like a guitar, yeah, you can absolutely do that. So if we go to our browser and we go to instrument patches and we do exactly what we did before, we just search out guitar and hit enter, and we throw the acoustic guitar on this track instead. All we need to do is drag that one, drop it on there, and then we've got the acoustic guitar. But you don't have to go to a special separate smart instrument play area. You just go to your play surfaces down the bottom here, and it will default to whatever you need. And better than that, you can actually give yourself a little bit more real estate there for some of your things. For this one, that almost sounded like the Simpsons theme. But you can change your play surface as well. So if you tap this button here, you can go to keyboard. So you can play can play any instrument just using a standard keyboard, or you can select your drum pads, which don't really make sense for something like this. You can go to your fretboard, which we had before. You can go to, whoop, wrong button. You can go to your chord strips. And last but not least, you can go to guitar strips, which is pretty cool. Is it just me, or is that guitar sound a little better than the other one? I reckon it is. maybe I'm just hearing things now. It's been up for a while. All right, so yeah, and if you want to put that away, we just put the play surface away like that, and then we close out like that. So yeah, short answer is they're not where you think they are, but they're actually, there's more power under the hood there than what you had in GarageBand. Does the Hammond organ plugin look like? Yeah, so we answered that one. We showed you that one, Keith. It looks, yeah, it's got a lot of options in there. Haven't used it in Logic Mac for a while, but I think it's got the same settings as the Logic Mac one. Will this export MIDI? I have not found a MIDI export option, and I don't believe it does. But again, someone will correct me somewhere if it does indeed export MIDI. The only export options I've found up here are to export audio. So I haven't found any MIDI exporting information here at all. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the case. How happy are you with Logic now on the iPad? It's a really great question, Audible Video. It's too early to know. It's like the honeymoon period, right? It's like when you're first in a new relationship. Even the faults, you look straight past because everything is all rosy. Like I said with that guitar sound a minute ago, I'm like, hey, I reckon this guitar sound actually sounds a bit better. Probably the exact same guitar sound, right? But I'll have to spend more time with it. First impressions, double thumbs up. Like it's got everything that I wanted in GarageBand and more. So yes, it's got a heap of options in there. Some things that I think, like the flexible pitch, like the multi-time signatures, multi-keys, multi-tempos, things like that, I think might come in future versions. I don't use that sort of stuff a heap, so I'm not that concerned with it. But yeah, in terms of value, bang for buck, I mean, for free for a month, forget about it. It's a no-brainer. But then at $4.99 a month or $49.99 US a year, yeah, I'll be investing because to be honest, I would have paid the $50 for just the master track, just the ability to have the master track and to be able to turn off auto normalization. That in itself will save me hours of time. Like that'll be worth it. I don't care. Anyway, yeah. So I love it. I think it's great. But yeah, I've got my rose-colored glasses on, and I completely understand that. So some people will think I'm being a giant fanboy, but that's just because something new and shiny's out, and I like it. Like what you like. But I think hopefully you're seeing from the demo here that there's some really cool stuff in there under the hood that you can play with. All right. Hello, Lanja England. Hello to you. I hope you're doing well. Hello, V's Artists. I'll tag your as a question there. Jay's D, I'm going to tag your question there. Just arrived late. Yes, I'll tag your question there, Lanja. We do have a few questions in the queue. So I'm just making sure that we've captured as many of those as we can before we move on. Right. All right, so I've grabbed your questions as well, Kit and Dan Ekberg and Ty Madak. So we'll get to all of those. And yeah, Logic Pro, if you want all the stuff, if you want all the information, go to logicipad.com. That's going to give you access to everything I know so far, all the links to my videos, how to download it, links to the guides, everything you want to know about Logic Pro, but we're afraid to ask. Thank you, Junior Escobar. I will answer this question straight away. I don't know, I'm not sort of pay to play, but yeah, thank you for the kind donation. I wanted to say thank you. Do you know if you can change non-Logic sample or loop key and BPM on the Logic iOS? Yes, sort of. What you can do is you can use the stretch mode. I was meaning to show you this anyway, so I'll show this right now. That is that you can, if you bring in a sample externally that's not at the BPM of the track, you can use the stretch mode to actually make it fit, and that will adjust the BPM. And I'm pretty sure under the settings you can do the same sort of thing. But what you can do, if we come over here and we go to our Files app and we find, let's just find any old loop. Where was I before that I had some? I don't usually have that sort of stuff. Maybe we download one? No, we definitely had a loop before. Let's just search for .mp3. There we go. So here's a random sound that we've got in here. Let's just see what this is. Cool. That's going to work for us. So what we'll do is up the top here, we'll tap that button, we'll go slide over. So you do have to do things slightly differently here in Logic Pro. You have to find the file here in your Files app and then drag it into your project. So we'll do that here. We will tap and hold and drag this on across. We need to find an audio track. Let's just put it on this track for now. Bump it. In fact, we'll put it up here so it's under our drum track so I can show you how this works. So what we have now is we've added in our own file. Let's just send this away. Close it. And if we drag this, if we scroll in here and take a look, what it's done, it looks like it's actually at the same BPM. How funny is that? It's actually at 140 BPM. But let's just assume it wasn't. Let's just assume it was at like 120 BPM. If it was something like this. So let's assume that was the original audio file. Well, that's not going to work. So what we can do is actually grab that and drag it out and use your stretch to actually increase the amount of space that it takes up. And that's going to adjust your tempo up and down accordingly. And if you're wondering why it's doing all that weirdness, it's because we put it on a guitar track. So we've got plugins on a guitar track. So that's why it's doing its randomness. So, yeah. Yes, you can do that. And I'm pretty sure if you tap in here and you go to your tempo, you can analyze the tempo, which I haven't actually done before. So let's do it. And I don't know where it's put that. Tempo. Now we can edit smart tempo. So yeah, there is the edit smart tempo. So we can change it there. So it reckons it's 139.7. So that's interesting. So you can edit the tempo there. You can shift the downbeats. Okay, so you can move it. You can do a lot of things in here. So yeah, there is smart tempo in there, and you can either just use a simple stretch in there, or you can move it around like that. That's pretty cool. So you can actually change where it hits. Yeah, a lot of it. Hello, Coach Limbo. Yes, it is. It's pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool indeed. All right, I'm going to continue on here, but yeah, thank you again, Junior Escobar, for the donation and for the question. Does the scroll wheel on your mouse work? Yes, it does. Scroll. So yes, you can scroll using your mouse, or you can use, if you've got a touchpad, you can use your 2 fingers down, 2 fingers up, and that will scroll around your project as well. I didn't really mention before, but you can also pinch. So 2 fingers, you can pinch to zoom out if you squeeze, or get more of your project, or you can squeeze, separate your fingers and zoom in. And you can even do it vertically. So you can zoom like this, and you're going to get more information, more of that track on there. And you can see there with a stereo track, you can see that you've got both tracks there if you do that. That's pretty cool, yeah? Pretty cool. Let's remove that because that's going to delete that. That's going to distract me from what we're doing. The designer drum kits, there sure are. Drum kit designer is a thing, and you can use that by grabbing a drum sound. Let's do it for us now. Going over here, we'll get rid of guitar. Let's go drums, and we'll go full kits so that we can show the drum kit designer. And let's just go maybe this analog drive kit. Yo. All right. And what we need to do is grab that analog drive and drag it onto a new. So everything's drag and drop here, right? So we'll drag that onto a new track like that, but not over here because that's not going to work. We need it over here. And then that's not the right one. That didn't work. It should ask me for drum kit designer. I think because I've done a whole kit. Let's try that again. Let's try this with a single drum. Whoop. Tap off. Come off. It is here. Trust me. If we go with a kit piece, what if we do this? We drag this boom pile driver over to here. Is this going to do this? No, it's just going to give us the single thing. I've forgotten how to get to drum kit designer, but it is there. I promise you it's there. What I would suggest you do is go in here and do the lesson, because there's a whole lesson on drum kit designer, custom drum machine designer kit. So yeah, I have done it, and I will do it in the future, Robert. But yeah, for the sake of time, I won't do it right now. But basically, what you do is you get your first kit piece, you throw it on there like that, and it will. Oh, is it because I'm in instrument patches, not audio patches? Hang on, drums. Maybe it's this. Maybe because yeah, I think that's it. Because I'm using MIDI files, not audio files. No, okay, I can't remember. But yeah, you can definitely do it. Trust me, I'm a YouTuber. Trust me. Thanks for the question, though, Robert. Sorry, I couldn't answer it very well. Can you sum multiple tracks into one track? Yeah, you can. So you can use what's called track stacks here. So let's stack some tracks, in fact. Why don't we create a guitar track stack here? Because I've not really done much with this before. So the guitars we have, not that acoustic guitar, that's not real, let's get rid of that. So we've got our electric guitars from there down to here. So we've got, 5 tracks of electric guitars. So if we wanted to set up a track stack so that we can stack the track, if we tap on this first one and we say create a folder stack or a summing stack, you can create a submix that will have that in there. And then I've got to remember how to add these to that. I've forgotten. Yes, you can, is the answer. I've forgotten exactly how to do it. I think because you've got to move each track into that stack. You've got to move your tracks into your stacks. And I did it when I first got the app, and I haven't done track stacks since. So, yes, you can. You can create your own track stack, and then the way it looks in your mixer here is you've got your sub mixers over here. So you can actually control them separately with their own separate volume fader, and you can hit the setup button there and adjust that as well. So apologies. There's going to be some things in here. Even though I've had this for a bit over a week, there's going to be some things that I'm not going to have the immediate answer to, except to say, yes, you can do it, or no, you can't do it. So track stacks and subbing, yes, you can do it. JSD, can we access smart instruments like we can with... Yeah, sorry, we did answer that one before, but yes, you can, which we showed before. Does using the stretch tool on drums change the pitch or tone? No, it doesn't. So if we bring, as you probably would have heard before, it doesn't tend to change that. So let's just we'll add in a new track. And by the way, you might have noticed the other cool thing is when you're adding a new track, it will add it at the place you've got it there. So if we just want to add a basic audio track, it'll do that rather than always add it to the bottom, which I find much more convenient. So we'll grab this one. Let's just grab a random drum loop, shall we? So if we go here and we go loops, and we find drum, and it's the same drum loops. We'll bring in just a bebop. Sounds like the start of the late night with Conan O'Brien. So we'll drag this one in and pop it on the track there. And say we wanted to make this, so this is 4 bars there at the moment, and it's going to automatically match it because it's a loop.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, let's...
But if we did want to change that by using the stretch tool, so say we wanted that to be, if we're a nutter, and we wanted that to be at double time, and we just dragged, whoop. Oh, by the way, yeah, you tap it, see what I did there? You tap and hold. If you hold for too long, it'll actually zoom in. If you want to try and do some sort of more slight adjustments, that's kind of cool. And we'll drag it back. Then, yeah, it's going to be the same pitch. But it's going to be double the speed. And if we stretch it out to make it longer, it should do the same sort of jazz. And I say jazz because it's a bebop kit. See what I did there? Like this. But you are going to get that artifacting. So, like with anything, it's always best to try and get real sounds that are going to be as close to the tempo, the BPM, as your original sounds. Otherwise, it's going to stretch it out, and it has to add in. If you're making something shorter, it's better because it's just leaving out samples. If you're stretching something out, it's got to fill in the gaps, and that's where it can sound a bit crappy, like it did just then. But good question. Thank you for it. How many plugins can we use? Limited? No. So we did a quick demo before. I got up to 13, and it was continuing to let me go. So I don't think there's any significant significant limitation on plugins outside of how much processing power you have on your iPad. JSD, can you apply EQ to a plugin, for example, using EQ on Reverb? You can change the order of your plugins, but if the plugin, so yeah, but short answer yes, because what you'd do is you'd add the EQ and then the reverb, or the reverb then the EQ. Some plugins have like a built-in EQ, and some of your audio patches. So you saw with the organ before, it had its own built-in EQ. So sometimes you'll get a compressor that has a built-in EQ, but you can't add to a plugin the EQ, but you can EQ before and after a plugin, if that makes sense. Hopefully that works for you. Landia says, just arrived late, but I was wondering if you could tell me, if you haven't covered already, how you would add MIDI audio to a track from your files or iCloud. Good question. I have not done this. I'll take a quick pause. I'm going to add a drink to my drink cup. By the way, if you want your own Studio Live Today merchandise, if you want to you can support the channel and look cool at the same time, you can go to studiolivetoday.com/merch. Grab yourself a mug, grab yourself a t-shirt, support the channel, be cool. So we'll answer that one in just a jiffy. I'm just going to check in with the folks who are here live and make sure that we've captured any questions that are coming in from folks that are here live. I'm going to go back to the last question I tagged and scroll down here. Say good day to anyone else who's joined us. Coach Limbo, if I didn't say good day to you, hello. Gary Knight, I've said hello. Zach B, hello. You are super late, but that's okay. Hello, RJ, lovely. Can I use Melodyne? Any AUV3 supported app you can use. Audio Unit version 3 will be supported. I know. How awesome is it that this is real? Hello, hairbrush microphone. Right. I'm just scrolling through. Yeah, I know. I'm only going to trust if I'm pointing. There's no pointing Pete in the thumbnail. So how did you know what you were getting with no pointing Pete? It's terrible. You can select multiple instruments or tracks with the multi-select button selected. Can you? Okay. Tracks as well, multi-select. Let's see. Oh, you genius. You wonderful, wonderful person. There you go. I thought the multi-select was only for regions, but you can select multiple tracks, and then you can drag them around together. That's gonna be cool. I'm very happy you've made my day. Crosby Man 64 is the best. He has all the tips, forget the rest. Sleep deprivation, folks. I highly recommend it. What do they say? Being tired is about the same as being like at 0.05. Stretch drums won't change pitch if they're Apple loops, but there's no guarantees if they're not. Yeah, Logic Pro is better because you would have seen when I did that one before where I brought in an external file. It does a lot better than that. My voice is low. It's probably more that the music is high. I'm apologize. That bebop drum was louder than everything should have been. Apologies for that. I've turned things down now, and I won't replay that sample because it was not too bad. Righty. I'm just going to make sure that we've caught any questions that came in here. Gary Hubbs, hello. How are you? I hope you're well. So still going to show us Flex. I'm not sure what Flex we have that I haven't shown. Was there something under? There was the tempo stuff that I showed you there, and there's the stretch, but I don't think we actually have. Can we search? Can we search for Flex? If there's something that we can do with Flex, I'm not sure about it. I don't know it. I'm sorry. All right, so let's go back to Lanja's question. Yeah, so MIDI files. So I'm assuming we can open a MIDI file like we can do in GarageBand, which is just to get a MIDI file and then import it. Do I have a MIDI file is the question. I've definitely used MIDI in the past. Let's just go .mid over here and see. Whoop, I'm not in my search box. .mid. I've definitely done demos before. Okay, I've got one MIDI file. No idea what this is. What do we think it is? I don't know, man. I'll try and bring it in. I don't know what it is, but so we can do this. I wonder if we could do it by doing this, by doing the slide over. Can we just bring it straight in? Is it going to be a supported file to bring into Logic like this? Drag it. Well, it seems to be. All right, let's see what it does. Right. Also import tempo information. Oh, okay. That's cool. I'll replace the project's tempo. No. Let's not do that. Is it doing it? Have I broken it? Oh, there it goes. Okay. I've got no idea what this song is. So I am not going to play it because I'm not going to give myself a copyright claim for 4 seconds of MIDI audio that may or may not be a copyrighted thing. But yes, short answer there is yes. It appears that MIDI is supported and it seems to have brought it in here. Let's just play like one track, can't it? Can it? You know what it is? It's the Tetris theme. So thank goodness I didn't play it. Hopefully that 4 seconds doesn't cause a problem. If everything went really quiet, then you'll know why, because I've had to remove that part. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out. Yes, you can indeed go ahead and use your MIDI. 6 is the limit for sends. Good question. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's undo that, by the way. We don't need. Can we undo that import of MIDI? Yeah, okay, we can. Cool. Let's look at the sends again, because I hadn't really played with this very much. Let's go to close this, and let's embiggen our mixer. Still finding my way around here, folks, so you're going to have to bear with me. All right. Due to our setup, sends. Create new bus. Create new bus. Let's just create them. Create new bus. Create new bus. It looks like we're going to be able to go beyond 6. Yeah. Yep, looks like we have quite a few buses. So yeah, if you're the sort of person that loves to control everything with a bus, then yeah, you definitely we've at least gone to 8. So I think you'll be fine, Keith, to have multiple buses if that's your desire. Is there a pipe organ and a happier chord? Probably. Almost definitely. I almost guarantee that there is. Can you master your song in Logic? You sure can. So there's a couple of ways. Like I've shown previously in GarageBand, and if you want to learn about that, just search Pete Johns GarageBand mastering. But as I've shown in GarageBand in the past, you can master your tracks directly in the project. The good thing about Logic is that it actually has its own master track. So you have your own stereo output at the end of the track here. So as I was showing before, you've got a limiter there. You can actually add the limiter onto your stereo track, or EQ or compression or whatever you want to use as your mastering plugins, and master your project directly in here. The other thing you could do is export it. So as we showed before, you can export your project as a WAV file, and if you prefer to do it that way, you can bring your project back in as a stereo WAV file and then master it just on that one track and just add all your plugins to that one track. So more than one ways to master a song and skin a cat. So you'll be golden to be able to master in Logic. Dan Ekberg, easy to set up timing changes like going from 4/4 to 5/8 during a song. Had to step out. I don't believe so. So here's the thing. I have not found a way, and I don't believe that there is currently a way, excuse me. I don't believe that there is a way for you to have multiple tempos and multiple time signatures in a song. And I think that's what our friend before was asking about flex time. We don't really have flex time. It looks like that you have some time stretch capabilities and some tempo analysis capabilities, but in terms of your pitch and in terms of things like having multiple time signatures, multiple key signatures, because we don't have an arrangement track, as far as I can see. I mean, we do have the automation. This doesn't let us do arrangement stuff, does it? This is only automation, I believe. So I don't think so. Short answer is I don't think so. I'd love to be surprised and learn that you can. And if anyone has any information and has read the manual or checked it out, then feel free to let me know. But I don't believe so at this point in time. Leslie's got a question. How long do you think it will take, days, weeks, months, for one to become proficient in Logic Pro? So I've been using it for about an hour a day for about 10 days. And I'm where I am now. So I'm not proficient per se. I'm capable. I could record a song right now. I could plug in my guitar. I could plug in my microphone. I could record a track right now without any problems. But in terms of, as you've seen, in terms of understanding automation and sends and aux buses and a lot of the other more complex functions, it'll probably take a while. So I think the good thing about this, I was worried that going straight in, it was going to be so different and so overwhelming coming out of GarageBand or coming out of a different DAW that it would take me literally weeks and months. But I think if you had your month is going to be a good amount. So the free month you get, I think, is going to be a good amount of time for you to get to know the app, for you to get to know if it's going to be right for you and explore some of the options. Best place to start. I got this from Patrick over at the GarageBand Guide because we both had early access to it. He said, Johns, whatever you do, go in here and go to your lessons because these are gold. They're about 5 to 15 minutes each and they take you through step by step how to do things. I've got to redo some of these because I've got to relearn some of the stuff like the beat breaker because we haven't even touched on things like the beat breaker, which is the newest function there. We touched a bit on alchemy, a sample alchemy. There's a lot of stuff in there under the hood that I need to learn more about, but I reckon within that first month you'll be up and running, and I think within probably 3 or 4 days of experimenting and playing around. And I highly recommend do what I did here. Bring in a GarageBand project if you got one, or you can get one from me. I've got heaps on various places. But yeah, bring in a GarageBand project, or use the other thing they've got is that they've got some demo projects in there for you to use. So use them, play with it, break it, do what you want, and I think you'll get up to speed pretty quickly, Leslie. Definitely worth a shot, in my opinion. I thought perhaps you could copy a chunk of MIDI and paste it in the Files app, but I tried it and it didn't work. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, could you just copy it and then paste it somehow? Because you can copy MIDI, so you can copy anything from within here. You'd be able to copy some MIDI regions. Can you? Yeah, so I guess you can't just paste it out. So it sounds like it may well be that we don't have any ability to do that. Do you think it's easier to switch to Logic iPad from GarageBand iOS than from GarageBand iOS to Logic Mac? Yes, 100%. So I've tried GarageBand Mac and I've tried Logic Mac, and they are just a different beast. I'm a bit weird. I deliberately chose GarageBand iOS for its simplicity. So I know there's a lot of folks that say that it has lots of limitations, and it does. I completely agree. It has a heap of limitations, but I've been able to find workarounds and I've been able to find ways to actually make it work for me, not against me, and that's been a good thing. So I think, short answer to that one is that it is much easier to go from a touch interface to a touch interface. And what I mean by that is just being able to use your fingers and tap around here and zoom in and out. Like, it's just, I forget the controls, how to zoom in and out, and the keyboard shortcuts on GarageBand Mac and Logic Pro. Whereas this, I can just very quickly open up different things. I can jump around. I can grab my play surface there. It's just very intuitive. So yeah, I think it's definitely. It's not that people that use GarageBand Mac or Logic Mac aren't going to be able to pick it up. In fact, they're going to know a lot more things. They're going to know more about things like the Drum Machine Designer. They're going to know more about a lot of the plugins and how to use them more effectively than I am, because I haven't had access to them. But in terms of your basic navigation, I think if you've been using an iOS option, then you're going to be golden. Is there a pipe organ and a harpsichord? I don't know. Let's find out. The good news is we can go to our browser and we can search for it. So let's remove that one. Let's search and let's go pipe organ and search for it. Doesn't appear that way. Oh, I'm only in loops. Let's go to everything. Everything. Remove. All right. I'll remove those two. We'll search in instrument patches. Pipe. There's pipe ambience and there's pipe percussion. Ooh. Don't think we got a pipe organ. Harpsichord though, maybe. Harpsichord. Oh, it did have it as a thing. Oh, there's faded keys. So yeah, there's a harpsichord adjacent kind of instrument there by the looks of it. We can add to our track. Let's add it. Yeah. Yes, so we do. We have that. All right. Does this have the string sustain, staccato, etc. instruments like GarageBand has? Great question. Let's have a look. This is what I was hoping this stream would be. I will be your eyes and your ears and your guinea pig. So let's search for strings and have a look. So we've got different. I think this might be the one thing that's going to be different because we have a whole lot of different strings in here. Oh, Church Street makes sense. We've got trill bows. Ooh, that's cool. Future string. No. So what we have is we have the studio string instruments here. So we've got studio cellos, studio double basses, studio violas, violins, 1 and 2. So I think because we've got these studio springs and studio brass and things, I think these are probably replacing those strings. I'm imagining, is there a staccato? There'd have to be some sort of staccato from there. Let's search for it. Stock. I can't spell staccato. Is it spelled like that? Apparently not. Staccato. Let's see. You might have spelled it staccato. That's right. It's not staccato. It's staccato. It's Italian. No. So that's a bit weird. But maybe under. Let's just play with one of these strings, shall we? Maybe under, like if we go to the violin, maybe it has an option there where we can play it as a staccato. So let's add the studio violins to our track here and solo it and take a look and a listen over here. Do we have any other options here? Let's scroll. What about under our plugins here? Fat effects, compressor. Oh, so there's the studio strings. This might be where we need to change this. All right. Yeah, this looks like what we're looking for. Attack, release, volume. Is that legato? There's got to be a staccato button here for doing. Yeah. I don't know, but I'm assuming that somewhere in here, violins, small sections, disco strings, strings ensemble, monophonic, cutoff. Do you just have to change the cutoff? No, that's the start. What about the release? You can make it release quickly. Dynamic control. There has to be a way to do a staccato. You can turn sustain on there, but I just don't know where it is. Oh, hang on. We found it. We found it. It's here under the play surfaces. So under here, there it is. It's under the, what is it called? The activation. So we can do staccato, which actually sounds super cool. What about pizzicato? Okay, now I'm definitely getting a copyright strike. Thanks, Sebastian. No, I think I'm all right. The estate of popcorn will be coming at me. So yeah, heap of cool options there in the studio strings, which I haven't even scratched the surface of. So go and play with those. It looks like you're going to have a heap more options in there. And that's what I was saying before. Someone who's used Logic Pro and the studio studio strings in there are going to know a lot more about that. Yep, you found it. You spotted it before I did. Good job. Yep, you all had it. You're all screaming at your screens, telling Johns, it's there. Go Saints. Oh, go the Saints, the mighty Saints. I haven't watched the Saints. The Saints ain't been popular since Tony Lockett, man. Command R, repeat. Command A for MIDI region select all. Is that a thing? Can you quantize audio? Yes, I believe you can. Why don't we find out? Hello, Soulrack, by the way. Let's find out if we can quantize audio. Let's find an audio patch that we can use this on. What about this? Now, which one has the... Quantizing might work best on something that's a lead part. So I think it's this Rio Grande. Is it? By the way, see that little dot there? That's giving you a little bit of an information about how loud the signal's coming through. So even if you're not out on your mixer, if you're seeing red dots there, you know you're probably clipping that individual track. This one looks okay, but it's obviously quite high. You can see it's up there at 4.7. So minus 4.7. So if that was any louder, it would probably be clipping. So hey, it's a cool thing. It holds your hand in that way, which is something that GarageBand should have done. Let's just zoom in on this a little bit so we can get a closer look. Let's see if we can indeed quantize this sound. So your quantization is under your inspector, which is down here on the left. At the moment, quantize is off. Let's quantize this. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we need 16th notes for quantize. So let's put 16th note quantization on here and see what it does to our track. Could be interesting. It's actually pretty good. Let's just make sure that that's actually done something. So if we jump in and we'll zoom in here, because it looks like it's lined up these transients on the dot, but if we turn it off again, yeah, look at that. Pete's usual guitar playing of being a little sloppy and a little early like this. Let's replace it with quantization at that 16th note. Now it's a little bit more robotic, yeah, so it's not actually going to sound quite as good, but you can play around with this. You can actually swing it. So at the moment it's swing at 50%. You can adjust the swing percentage and the strength of the quantization, as well as the range of the quantization there. So there's a few little options there, and we could even go, because is this a triplet more? So if we do the 16th, it's like a 12th note triplet, this might actually make it sound more natural and give it more of that groove, or it may take it completely off the rails. Let's find out. No, it's not triplets, is it? Because that would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's yeah. So we wouldn't want it to be triplets. What else you got? You got swing. So we can try and do. It's pretty cool though, because if you wanted to just like artificially swing up a track that you hadn't already swung, let's see what this will do with some swing. Jay says you can't import MIDI or audio from an external SSDs in the Files app. It crashes Logic. Okay, so that's a good tip. If you're bringing files in, bring them into your files and put them on your iCloud drive or your iPad first, and then bring them in. Don't try and do it directly from an SSD, which is, it's a thing. It's a thing. Have I tried Beat Breaker yet? I haven't. I've tried it a little bit, but not quite. Not quite. Blew out my eardrums again. I'm checking my audio levels here, and it's that the audio doesn't seem that much louder, but I can definitely turn it down if it's helping anyone, if it's impacting other folks as well. I apologize if that's the case. Right there. I'm just scrolling down here to see. And add in the questions, Jays D. I've added your question. I'm adding questions from Ponk80 from Sion. Who else have we got here? They should have just made it more one-to-one on the flex. Yeah, the flex time probably just going to require a little bit more stuff. What are the 3 dots next to the quantized number? 3 dots next to the quantized number. I don't know, or I can't tell. There's 3 dots. I'm not sure. I'll put it back to 16th note. Sorry, not sure on that one. Stupid question. What do the M, S, and R mean? So that's mute, solo, and record. So that's all that is. So that's to solo a track, you put the solo on. To mute a track, you put the mute on. And to record, you tap that one, and that will arm your recording ready to go. Hello, Jerry. I'll tag your question as well. Let's jump back to those tagged questions and continue answering. We'll answer this one from Sion after a quick drink. Do you see yourself fully transitioning to Logic from GarageBand iOS? Seems like a whole new world. You pretty much covered GarageBand inside out. So there's two parts of my world, Sion. There's my music creation, and then there's my music education. From a music education point of view, as you've correctly demonstrated there ain't much in GarageBand iOS I haven't covered. I've got close to 2,000 GarageBand videos on the channel. I think we're done, or close to done. So until GarageBand adds new features, which apparently they have, thank you to Pon Katie, who said, yeah, they have added that chip tune pack to GarageBand, which is cool. So when we get new GarageBand stuff, I'll obviously cover it. And if there's any tips or tricks that I come across in GarageBand, I'll cover them. And I'll almost definitely do a GarageBand versus Logic video once I've really got the feel for it. In terms of the video content that we have around here, Logic will be featured more, and can almost guarantee that Logic Pro will be what I use to do Song Timber this year. So that's coming. Can you edit drummer in piano roll? Great question. You guys are just amazing with your questions. You've got all the smart questions. I didn't doubt that for a second from this community. So let's go to our drummer track and take a look at the edit window that we have for that. I think the short answer is no. I think we still have, but we do have some more options that we have in here. So let's have a quick explore, shall we? So we've got the main and we've got the details. So we have more options here in terms of, so you've got your standard controls that we have here. You've got your complexity and intensity there. We've got our sliders here for selecting different things. We've got our follow button. Okay, so you can turn your follow on, which is that one there. If you haven't used Drummer Follow, it's pretty cool. You got your fills there as well. You've also got details here, which gives us the feel and auto hi-hat, your 8ths or the 16th notes, and how much swing you have on your hi-hats. And you can change the amount of ghost notes you have in there. So it looks like the auto drummer on GarageBand Mac and Logic Mac, we have more options, but what we don't have is the ability to actually completely control the different drums and the different sounds in here, or edit the notes. So I don't know. I don't know if you can convert. Well, we'll find out. We'll jump out and have a look in a minute. What does this button do? Let's just press it. I don't know. It says loop. Oh, it goes on and off. I'll have to find out what that does. And what does this button do? So you can lock your settings for your fills, swing, drum kits. Okay. And your 3 dots, what do we got there? Load default, patch, and recall default. And you can change your presets just like you do in the original version. So that's all that you have in your control surface there for your drum. You've got Drum Kit Designer here as well. Okay, so I guess this is pretty cool because your Drum Kit Designer is on your drummer, so we can actually change things like your tone of your kick. And so if you can change the independent gain of each kit piece and its tone, that's probably going to be what most people need or want, or the reason that most people would actually export them. So let's solo these drums with our mate Anders. By the way, did you notice that the names are gone? I've brought this across from GarageBand, so it still says Anders, but if you created a brand new drummer track, no Kyle, no Anders, no Benny, it all just says rock drummer or metal drum or whatever they call themselves. All right, let's play this. I will turn the volume down a little bit because I don't want to blow anyone's ears off. So let's go into this larger section and play through this part. And let's just play with some of these. So we'll change the kick tone. That's pretty cool. So if I'm hearing, okay, that snare's a little bit loud compared to the rest of the kit, let's try and adjust that snare volume. That's pretty cool. So I think that this actually might solve a lot of those problems that a lot of folks have in terms of that issue, in terms of being able to actually tune the kit the way you want it. I reckon so. What's input mapping? I don't know, man. I don't know. Drum Kit Design is something that I have to spend a lot more time with because it looks super cool. And it looks like we have the option to use it on our drummer tracks, which is also super cool. A question from V's Artist. How many plugins can we use on vocals when mixing and recording? Asking again because I think I missed your answer. I got up to 13 and it was still going. I don't think that there seems to be a limit, or if there is, it's many more than most of us will use. And don't forget, you can also use sends to send your vocals to a reverb bus or a delay bus if you want to do stuff like that. But yeah, it doesn't have the same limitations of GarageBand of 3 or 4 plugins per track. You can add as many as you like by the looks of it, or at least up to a 13, and then we're still going. Beat Breaker. Shall I try Beat Breaker? I've forgotten. Oh man, what do we do? Because it is a cool thing. Let's do the lesson because I haven't showed you any of the lessons yet. Let's you and I. Let's do the lesson together, shall we? Let's jump in because the lessons are cool. So if we tap this one, we go to lessons, and we scroll down, we will find the Beat Breaker intro to Beat Breaker. It's a 12-minute lesson. Let's work with these ones. All right. Beat Breaker, it'll load up its own little project. Intro, Beat Breaker is an audio effect that renders incoming audio in real time. This lesson introduces you to the interface, etc. All right. Audition the track. Let's have a listen to what it sounds like. Cool. Before using, tap the play button to familiarize yourself. Tap the play button to continue the lesson. I did that already. All right, so... it wants it to be playing, but I don't want you to be having that. All right, so we can tap the pattern button marked halftime to switch it. So we can switch this to halftime, which will do this. That's cool. Plays the first 2 beats at half the normal speed. We've got input buffer, so you can see where things are being input from. That's cool. You got your main editor here. Yeah, so this is what a lot of people have been playing with. We can make it skip around. So you got presets down the bottom here that you can do, which is pretty cool. About the slices, so yes, you can tap the pattern name custom, so you can customize your slices here. And I won't do the whole thing here, but you can move these to move the slices around in this loop, and then you can actually change up the sounds of when it's played and how it's played by adjusting these and make them repeat and make them do all sorts of funky things. What have we got? Etc. I won't take you through the whole thing, but it's really cool. If you follow those lessons, if you follow those lessons, they really are a cool way to get you up to speed with what Logic Pro is capable of. Let's go back into Goats for Logic, and I've got a couple more questions here. Reminder, if you do have questions, we will try to answer as many as you got. Until the questions dry up, we'll hang out. So if you've got a question, hit Q in front of your comment, and that will tell me that your comment is not just a comment, it is also a question. And if you're having fun here today, thumbs up, guns up down below. That tells me and the YouTube robots that you're having fun here today. Thank you all for being here. I'll jump back to the live chat and just check for any other questions, and then we'll jump in and answer some questions from Jerry and others. I'm using the headphone and mute icon in GarageBand. Yeah, that's a good point. So M and S just means mute and solo, and it's the same as your headphone and your microphone that you have. I've been using GarageBand since a 5S. Yes, where's my 5S friends at? Imagine, do you remember that screen, the 4.7-inch screen? It was similar to, I don't have it on me. My iPod Touch is small, and I use GarageBand on that. It takes me back. It really does take me back to the day. JSD, I've grabbed your question there. Thank you, Princess LDG. Thank you for that. I'll grab your question, B Jammin. I've grabbed that one there. Selecting full drums in the drummer browser gives you systems to edit. Okay, there you go. So your full drum kits, yeah. So that was back when I was trying to do the drum, the drum designer. Thank you for that. Keonra, welcome aboard. Hope things are going well over in WA. I appreciate you. Let's see. We got any other questions? We've got one from Black Diamond. I'm going to tag that one to come back to and try to answer. Yeah, if you need to jump off, don't forget you can catch the replay if there's anything you missed, and do jump down into the chat below if you have any, in the comments below if you're watching on the replay. Thank you, Gary Knight, for being here. Thank you for being here, JJ Bing. Just got done watching the beginner tutorial. It was awesome, so I know where the buttons in the window. Like, yeah, thank you. If you do want to check that one out, don't forget that all of those are over here. So over on logicipad.com, you can check out all the videos, my 32-minute intro to GarageBand. GarageBand. How many times will I say GarageBand when I'm doing Logic? My intro to Logic is over there, so you can check that one out. All right, a few more questions that have come in here in the last few minutes. Jays D says, what do the French horns sound like? GarageBand French horn did not sound that great. Let's find out. All right, let's add some French horns. So we'll go in here, we'll go to MIDI, software instrument, create. Oh, so you can put the patch here, can you? Instruments. Okay, so there's another way to get to them. All right, so someone was asking before, yeah, if you don't want to use that, how do you get into your stuff? Well, you can do it that way. You can come in through here, and it's going to have all the instruments. So let's go to Studio Horns and add and create a track with Studio Horns. So let's go and get... Oh, you know what I was going to say. I'm not going to say it, though. No. All right, let's jump into our Studio Horns. So you've got your instruments. You've got alto sax, tenor sax, baritone sax, 4 trumpets, 3 trombones, a bass trombone, R&B section, soul section, jazz section. We do not have a French horn in our Studio Horns. We've got trombones. Can I interest you in a trombone? Oh, let's turn the volume back up so we can hear our trombone. Oh, we can't hear our trombone at all. Oh, because we've got... See how it's flashing? See how it's flashing mutate you up there, Johns? It's because you've got something soloed. Turn that off. All right. That's pretty cool trombone. Cool. So we have a trombone, but we don't have a French horn. That's surprising. Baritone sax. Hang on, gotta go all the way down, don't we? We've got a baritone sax. That's kind of epic. What about trumpet? Oh, that's the lowest sound. That's the lowest note I could get to. All right. You've got different options here. So you've got like a growl. And I know, look, we've had studio instruments in Logic for a long time, but it's new. It's new to iOS. What about a passionate trumpet? I love it. I just love the fall off. All right. But is there a French horn? Because that was a question you actually asked before all of that wackiness. All right, let's get rid of all this. Get rid of this. Come over to our browser. See if we can find a French horn. So if we go to instrument patches, let's search. And we'll search French. Did I spell it right? Doesn't seem to be anything French. How terrible. Sacre bleu. No French horn. Doesn't look like it. So I guess not. It's a short answer. No French horn, which is weird because we have it in GarageBand. What would happen if we played a French horn in GarageBand and brought it over? You'd probably be able to do that. So yeah, sorry to bear bad news, but no French horn. But we have a heap of others here. Any sort of pitch correction in this Logic version? Great question. I haven't explored that. If we have any sort of any pitch control, let's go to our vocal here. We'll solo this one.
I find it hard to be okay.
Let's jump into our plugins and see what we got. So we've got noise gate, compressor, channel EQ, LRC5, delay, overdrive, channel EQ. So I don't actually have the what do we call it? Pitch. But let's just come in here and type in pitch correction. So pitch correction. So yes, we do have the pitch correction, which looks like it's actually got a bunch more options here than what our GarageBand version does. Let's just embiggen that so we can see what we got. So yeah, so you got tuning there, you got your settings. Yeah, so it's basically more like a Melodyne or an auto tune that we have in here, which is pretty good. Let's just play with it.
I find it hard to be okay with all the things that are happening in this world.
I could detune myself, that's cool.
And I find it harder day by day. all the news that is fake, all the walls that they make, and there's one thing that I am sure of.
So yes, I haven't experimented with that much. What presets do we have in there? Do we have like a T-Pain preset? I don't know. All our presets are just whatever key you're in, which is pretty cool because what key is this? It's not in C major, is it? I don't think so. If I know me, it would be in like E or G or something. Let's go G major. Is it G major? But this will adjust it so it'll only play notes that are in that scale.
I find it hard to be okay.
I don't think that was the right key. So yes, pitch correction looks like it has a whole bunch of additional options that we can play around with here. We'll turn that off for now because it's sounding super weird. Good question, Jerry. Thank you for asking it. Thanks for being here. The quantized number is in the top right corner directly underneath a button next to the questions icon. Oh, the one I've over here. The snap to grid. Is that the one we're talking about? So this is your grid snap options, and this takes you into a whole bunch of cycle related options, which I haven't actually played around with a whole lot, to be honest. So I think that's to do with this, your cycle section. You can do different things with it. Haven't played with it enough to be able to tell you. But next to that is your snap to grid. So you can have it on auto, or if you take the auto off, you can actually say how much you want to snap it to. So if you always want to snap to, say, an eighth note, you can do that, and then your snaps will always go to an eighth note that way. Or if you wanted it to be like to just the bars, you can snap it to bars like that. But leaving it on auto means it determines the level of snapping based on how zoomed in or zoomed out you are, which works best for most folks and is what I would recommend. Turn off the solo. Good questions all round. Do you think that will bring drag and drop? It kind of does have drag and drop. I'm not sure in relation to what, but yeah, you can drag and drop anything from your browser over here. So any loops or samples or anything you want from your browser, you can drag and drop. We haven't looked at samples yet, have we? Let's go get a one shot. What about an 80s pluck bass? Nice. See, there you can go to Drum Machine Designer. That's weird. Or Sample Alchemy. Let's go. Let's try some plugins presets for this sample. Oh no, you can't. No plugin presets for Sample Alchemy. Oh boo! But you can make your own. Oh, there you go. You can arpeggiated sci-fi bass. Oh, look at this. How cool is that? Anyway, yes, I'm not quite sure if I answer your question. Probably not. Is there an acoustic drum kit with that punchy 80s sound? Probably. There's so many of them. I could go in and sample all day. Let's search drums and 80s because this will actually help me show you. Whoops, I went away. This will help me show you another cool thing you can do in the browser. So the browser is where everything lives. But if we come in here and we say when we're looking for loops, no, we weren't. We're looking for audio patches, weren't we? No, audio patches? Yeah, so what you can do is you can search drums, and add that as one, but then you can also put in like 80s. And there you go. So then you've got things like your 80s kick, 80s snare. Nice. So I guess you could use them. Is there anything like big drums? Or snake chamber? Let's just throw this in here. No, I don't quite know what I'm doing there. Oh, that's because that's an audio preset. That's not going to really help. 8-bit hi-hat. Space Kit. Well, that's pretty cool. Can we use that one? Yeah. Let's play in some drums with this kit because we haven't done a lot of Select the software instrument. Oh, because that's an audio. See, I'm still learning. I'm still learning that some of them are audio instruments, some of them are audio patches, and some are software patches. So I haven't quite got there yet. But yeah, there's a heap of sounds in there. I'm sure you can find something. Plus, you have that new chiptune pack that looks pretty darn cool. So that's a good one to play with. All right, let's have a drink and we'll check in with the folks in the chat. All right. I'm just scrolling down to see Swarm Instruments. Yeah, Swarm Instruments have very cool sounds. Very cool. What are they? Brass sounds. Is there a way to grab tracks from AUM into Logic? Wait, I believe so. I think it's going to have the same compatibility with AUM. I'm not much of an AUM user. I'm pretty sure that Jade Star and others will experiment with that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Logic is just another host, so it'll work in a very similar way to anything else that you used. Have you checked the sidechain route? I haven't checked the sidechaining, no, but you can sidechain, and you can use your sends to sidechain between one instrument and another. I haven't actually played with it yet, so it's on the list. It's on the to-do list for the future. I watch Bolo and Producer's video and Pete's. Nice, thank you. Yeah, watch as much as you can if you want to, because different people are going to teach you different things in different ways. It's why I can do what I do, and Patrick at the GarageBand guy does his thing, and you got Henny's business, and you got Jade Star, and you've got everyone. They're all going to teach you something different. Vortex over at Mobile Music Pro, there's a lot of cool stuff. We want to drag and drop our own samples too. Yeah, you can. So you can drag and drop your own samples. You just need to do it from the Files app. So you need to come over here to your Files app. You need to find your sound, like this one, like that. You need to tap up the top here and do your little slide over thing. This is another reason that I think that it wouldn't really work on the iPhone, because you can't really do this sort of thing on iPhone. And then you can just grab that and drag it into your project. And you go. You can even you don't even have to drag it there. You can drag it on here and create a drum machine designer or a sampler alchemy track with that. So if we go to the quick sampler, actually no, we did that last time. Let's just cancel that. Let's just drag this one over and put it there. And this might be a good one to show that stretch that we can do too. Because if we put the metronome on, just throwing this in here now, no bueno, right? But if we want to make it bueno, we can stretch it down to either make it, whoops, that was the trim. I did that to make sure that you were paying attention. Let's just pop these files away. Close that one. What was I doing? I would undo that. So I had the trim selected, but if we change this to the stretch, we can actually stretch this backwards and make it just the 8 bars, and then it'll sit. Or let's stretch it out and make it 16 bars, and you'll get this kind of vibe. Cool. French horns is under the sampler plugin, is it? Oh, I didn't see. There you go. Maybe there is some French horn. Anyone know if there's a way to strum the MIDI notes? I mean, you could just use the guitar version. So if you had, say, these keys, you'd turn on your keyboard like that, and then grab, say, the guitar strips. You could. So yeah, you can. Because you can use any play surface with any instrument, even if it doesn't really make sense, which is good. Alrighty. I'm just going to scroll and see if we've got any final questions, because we're coming up to 3 hours. So you folks have had a lot of amazing questions. Yeah. And Thomas Christ is right. This will probably make it a little more enticing for more plugin devs to make iPad versions. I agree. Have you ever made a decent song on this yet? How's the CPU power running this? I haven't really looked into CPU power. To be honest, I'm running the iPad M2 with 16 gigabytes of RAM. I haven't seen any slowdowns or freezings or anything going on. And I haven't quite created... I've created a lot of songs in GarageBand, but I've only had this for a week and a half, and I've been focusing on learning it and getting some videos together to share with you fine folks. So, yeah. Guitar rig would be a game changer for me. Well, there's a heap of guitar amps, and you could got the amp designer in there as well. So, in fact, let's have a quick play with that, shall we? Well, we've got a few more minutes to go here. Let's find one of my guitar tracks up the top here. What about this power chord track? Let's experiment with this one. We'll turn the volume down again because I don't want to blow anyone here. So. Only one person seemed to have a problem with the volume, so hopefully it's been okay. Alright, so there's our chord there. We can come in here to plugins, and that's the Alchemy one that's on. We'll come to this one. I have found that sometimes it does, you go to your plugins and it changes the track that you're looking at. Let's scroll across. So at the moment we've got channel EQ, reverb, compressor, but here's the amp designer. Boom, 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 boom. So you'll notice that this has a lot more functionality than things like GarageBand. You can jump in here, you can change up everything, you can change the amp that you want. So if you wanted to make this more of a Marshall style sound there, you can change the reverb setting that you have there, the gain controls. You've got your model, so the vintage, or let's go like the British Bright model of that one. You can even change your cabinet. So if you wanted like a more of a studio cab, like just a single 12-inch cabinet, you can do that. The microphone, let's go with a dynamic. Let's go with like what is it, an AE20 mode. And you can even change your mic position. So you can get completely different sounds. Pretty cool, yeah. So yeah, there's lots of options in there in your amp designer, and don't forget you can still use any of your other plugins you wanted. So if you love using things like Tonebridge, then you can do that. Is that going to just be here under tone? Also tone boosters? No, that's not it. Actually, let's use the search because we have it. Excuse me. Sorry, had to sneeze. Didn't want to do it in your ears. Typing on the wrong keyboard. Tonebridge, there it is. So if we wanted to use Tonebridge, we still have the option here. So if we put Tommy the Cat from Primus on here, what's that going to do? Right? But yeah, if you haven't used Tonebridge before, it's bloody marvellous, I must say. Like if we search out a Green Day patch, for instance, because they're one of my fave bands, let's go and throw Green Day's Basket Case, and then we can get something like this. And of course, it's a bit intense because Tonebridge is kind of designed to replace things, so you'd probably want to turn off your amp designer and maybe even the pedals and take a listen. Nice and crunchy, just the way I like it. Yeah, cool stuff. I like it. I dig it. All right. I had to leave for a while. Did you cover loading an MP3 from email? No, I didn't. I'll check that in a sec. Will Logic iOS put MP3? So a couple of MP3 related questions here from John and from Bobby. So in terms of exporting, it'll export a compressed file. So if you hit export here, you'll export as a compressed file. So it's an M4A because that's what Apple support. But you can change it in here. In fact, can you make it MP3? No, you can only make it the AAC, and you can change the bit rate here. So it turns it into a compressed file. I wouldn't recommend doing that. You want to keep it as an uncompressed file. But if you maybe just wanted to, again, email a copy to someone or something like that, you can choose to do that. In terms of importing from an email, you just need to download the attachment, save it to your files app, and then import it from your files app. So if someone sent you something and you've got it somewhere, if it's in an audio file format somewhere, then save it to your files, and then you'll be able to bring it in from your files app. So that's the best way to do it, because you can't go directly from your email. So you say you got your Gmail there, you download it, you get the copy from your downloads folder, or just import it directly from your downloads folder. So if you downloaded something from wherever on the internet, If you're like me, you don't really keep your downloads folder very tidy. So any of this stuff, any of my videos and audios of things that I've done. So for instance, if I wanted to bring in this file, it's on my iCloud drive, so I have to download it first. But if I wanted to bring this background jazz bed in, I just have to go to slide over, jump back to Logic, and bring it in. So just slide this one over from here and drag it in and throw it on my track. And there you go. It's going to bring in that background jazz bed onto my guitar, which I probably don't want. So we're going to undo that in a sec. Just get rid of that and undo. So that's to import things. You should be able to do that easily without a problem. Hello, Brandon. Came in from your YouTube short. Thank you. Exciting to see you working on this in real time. Yeah, it is cool. And thank you for coming on over. Appreciate you. Hopefully you subscribe and stick around. What's the latency like while recording with some simple comps? So maybe not too bad. I haven't run into any issues. I've only done a little bit. That I'll definitely be recording a whole song in Logic Pro and testing out the actual recording process, because I know we've only done dribs and drabs here today, but I'll be doing that. There is in the settings, there are some buffer settings, which gives me great comfort, because that's the one thing that GarageBand doesn't have. It doesn't have any buffer, which I believe is in audio here, IO buffer. Yep. So you can got a buffer between 64 and 512. If you're not familiar with buffer, what that means is if you turn the buffer down, you're going to get lower latency. If you turn it up, you'll get higher latency. So if you're struggling, if you're getting latency, which means that delay between when you play and when you hear what you're playing or singing, then you can actually turn the buffer down. And then when you go to mix, turn your buffer up, because it doesn't really matter if it doesn't play instantly as soon as you hit play. So hopefully that helped folks out. All right, let's see if we are nearly done. I think we're close to done. I'm definitely close to done, because it's been a great, but it's been a long day with a lot of stuff going on at the time. Yes, look, that's definitely a thing. A lot of people have said, yeah, I'd love to buy it once off, and yeah, I probably would have preferred that, but I don't know, for $50 a year. I think I'm personally going to get my value out of it. What you have to ask yourself is, will you get value out of this? If the answer is yes, try it. If the answer is no, then don't. But don't forget, you can also use the free month. So why not? Why not try it out? I got time for about 2 or 3 more questions. I'll answer this one from Ponk80. How many tracks does Logic allow? I believe it's 256 at least. Might be more. We haven't really hit the limit yet. I'm sure there's someone out there that's going to put it to the test and try and put as many tracks as possible in there. But yeah, I've seen projects with 50, 60, 70 tracks in there. And I think based on what Logic Mac can do, it's 256. But it will depend on the iPad that you have, that you're actually using, because it could be different based on that. Alrighty, we might close it off there. What do you reckon? If you're watching on the replay, or if you're watching live and I missed your question, or you didn't get a chance to ask your question, jump to the description, because that is where I will be hanging out, down in the comments section down below. Down in that description, you'll also find a link to my one-stop shop. Look, I get it doesn't look glamorous, but that's because it's informative. It's got all the information that you want. So I need to update this, because this is the demo you're watching right now. You can click on this one to go to my complete beginner's guide video. That will take you straight into this one, and that's 32 minutes where I take you through everything you need to know about Logic Pro. So if this wasn't enough, go over and check out that one. It's got timestamps down in the description, so you can jump around and use that as a reference. So if you're like, where did he say that the button to get to the inspector was? Go check out the navigating the interface section, and you'll be good to go there. You can also check out all of the videos by going to this one. That takes you right here into my Logic Pro for iPad playlist, which has all the videos that we've got so far, and we'll continue adding to those. By the way, there's a secret extra video. If you go there, I show you, there's a video tutorial of how to import your own audio. I know we've shown it a couple of times here on this stream, but if you need to refer to that video is coming out tomorrow, but shh, you can go and check it out now in the playlist. Sneaky. You can also download it. So if you're looking to start the free trial, hit the download button there. Do that on your iPad, and that'll take you straight into the App Store, and it will allow you to go and check it out and decide to subscribe to it if you choose to. It's going to be right for some. It may be right for you, but maybe not. Alrighty, there is the place to go, logicipad.com. And I do want to thank you. I know I'm going to have a beverage. I'm going to have this beverage. But let me tell you, there's going to be a quiet beer after the hours I've put in, because I've done a full day's work, because I was up at 1:30 a.m. and it's now 11:30 a.m. here in Australia. So I reckon I've earned myself a little bit of quiet time and a little relax here. But I do want to thank you all. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Thanks Clayton Von Kluge. Thanks Suspense Jack. Appreciate you. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you Tremor Bear. Thank you everybody. Thank you Princess LDG. Thank you to our wonderful moderator Thomas Christ, who has to put up with listening to my voice probably more than anyone else in the world, including my wife. And I want to say, get out there and enjoy and try it out. Don't forget, you can hit me up. All my contact details are over at studiolivetoday.com. That's my webpage, where you're going to find links to the Instagrams, the TikToks, the Twitters, the Facebooks. And the one final thing I wanted to tell you is, if you are a Facebook user, my mate Patrick over at the GarageBand Guide has just set up a great new resource, which is the Logic Pro for iPad Users Facebook group, and he's been kind enough to make me a moderator of that group. So within like one day, he's already got 221 members there. So I'll throw a link to that one right here in the chat. But if you go and you search that one out, you're going to be able to find that for yourselves and join the fun and the conversation over on the Facebooks. Alrighty, thank you so much for being here. What do we say at the end of each and every show? Be kind to yourself. Yes, be kind to others. Keep creating. And I'll see you next time here on Studio Live Today. Bye!